Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wood and Apostate Prophet. How is everybody doing? I am here today with my special guest to my side, who is the Yellow Dizzle. What's up, Yellow Dizzle? How are you doing?
Yo, what's up?
Good. Why are you yellow today? Can you explain to audio?
Camera problems. You saw me. I went from blue to yellow, so
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's good to know.
No time to troubleshoot.
No time for that at all, indeed. Yeah, I noticed halfway through the intro music that the intro music was double because my computer sound was playing together with the intro music sound, so it was like, going double, but then I fixed it halfway through. I hope the world is now a better place that I fixed it. So today we want to talk about Mohammed Hijab's appearance on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show, which was I watched it. I didn't watch it as soon as it came out. When it came out, I watched a few minutes of it, but I wasn't too tempted. I watched it later on, and I thought, "Wow, this is terrible for Mohammed Hijab and amazing for us." So you watched it and you said it was a dumpster fire, right?
I kind of listened to it while I was working out, but I shared it. Even before I'd watched it. I was like, I know I have a pretty good idea how this is going to go, so I started passing it around. And then I listened to it. I was kind of paying attention, and then it just seemed like bickering. Hijab's going to go in one of two directions. He's either going to try and be reasonable and put on make his positions look good, or he's going to try and show that he's strong, in which case it's going to be and he went with the latter.
What's funny is he actually went on a major mainstream talk show to go and argue for a Twitter myth, which is that the footage of burned babies was AI generated. That is a hoax that started on Twitter and ended on Twitter quite quickly, actually. But lots of people bought that, and many people still think it's true because they just stick to these little myths. And he actually went there to Piers Morgan to claim that image was AI generated, which is just ridiculous. It's just like Piers Morgan knows as an actual journalist that is just not true, that's a myth. And I don't know. I feel like he could have given a much more funny response to that objection. But yeah,
it is a rough situation because of AI and because anyone on the planet can just start posting stuff and saying this is from this when it's not. It's kind of rough because the impact is that you don't know what to trust anymore, and so you're just going to be skeptical of everything people are posting. Like I'll repeat stuff, but I'm usually like, I have no idea, man, because who knows who's putting out nonsense.
Yeah. So right now, I want to quickly talk about the news that are happening as we speak. Things are in the world right now. The last few hours, it looked like the situation is really escalating because an explosion happened in Gaza, where apparently, according to the first records, like 500 people died at once. It's the deadliest day of the conflict so far, of this war. And I think the deadliest since 2008 or so. And the issue is, as soon as the news spread of an explosion at a hospital and hundreds of dead, the news started spreading as an Israeli airstrike caused this. And the issue is that it was only a Hamas source that declared that this is an Israeli airstrike. But the news already spread that this was an Israeli airstrike, so people ran to condemn this. Entire countries responded with condemnations. The Palestinian Authority in the West Bank said we're going to cancel all kinds of talks right now. Hezbollah said, declared a day of rage and stuff like that. And then, as we talk, the news started coming in and actual video footage started coming in showing that this is not indeed an Israeli airstrike, but rather a rocket that was fired from inside Gaza, which exploded midair. And apparently, right after that, the explosion at the hospital happens.
Wait, so not deliberate? It was they're trying to blow something else up, but it detonates?
It looks like
too early or something?
This is the
I
clearest.
don't know. I have no idea. I saw earlier that there was some sort of hospital explosion or something like that, but I have no idea what's going on beyond that.
It would be ridiculous of Israel to bomb. It was a Christian hospital. It would be ridiculous of Israel, strategically ridiculously idiotic, to right now in the middle of all of this bomb a Christian hospital in Gaza. That's like shooting yourself in the foot and losing half the world's support, which you are already losing.
With that said, people do stupid stuff sometimes. So is it just kind of Israel says this and Hamas says this, or do they actually have evidence of what happened?
So the latest evidence, all the evidence we have points at a rocket launch that went really wrong in Gaza, and here is the clearest footage we have. Look, this is it. So here's a rocket that is going up. There is no sound to this, and then in midair, the rocket seems to explode, and right after this, a huge explosion happens here.
Oh yeah, looks like it something
Yeah.
happened, then it just dropped straight down.
Yeah. So what happens is two pieces apparently of the rocket, you know, and here you can also see like in the between the fire, you see here a solar panel and the shape of a building, and we have corroborating evidence of how this is directly the hospital. There was some footage from the side which shows directly that this is indeed the site. But we see that it is a rocket that initially explodes here, and then the explosion of the hospital happens. Lots of people ask, and I immediately ask, how in the world does this cause such an explosion, right? I mean, it explodes. The hospital experiences a massive explosion. 500 people, I think at least, are dead. How does this caused such an explosion? And then there are many speculations. There is a Gaza report which says that that under the hospital there was a large storage of ammunition, and that this rocket firing could have somehow I don't know, made contact with that and caused this massive explosion. But it's kind of unclear right now how exactly it happens. But we have very clear confirmed footage that it is a rocket that comes out of Gaza, explodes midair, and then the hospital explosion happens. So it was certainly not an airstrike originating from Israel. The really bad thing is that as soon as the news spread that Israel supposedly hit the hospital with an airstrike, entire countries condemned Israel. Riots started. In Turkey, they are currently attacking civilians, went to the streets attacking the Israeli embassy and even an American military base. In Lebanon, they are attacking the Israeli embassy right now. Lots of things happen just because of the first assumption, because of the first news that this was an Israeli airstrike. Now things are changing because of the evidence. And what are people going to do now? I don't know. Will they now look at the evidence and actually change their stance? I'm not sure. Will they stick to just blaming this on Israel because people like to play with use the dead? I don't know. Maybe it was Israel after all. Maybe somehow it was Israel after all.
I would have to see significantly more evidence before
and
see some results of some investigation before I come to a conclusion. But yeah, it is an ongoing problem that people will, once they've spread some story about what happened, people will just keep spreading it if no one corrects it. Like there was this was years ago, but there was a guy who killed like 3 Muslims. I think it was like in North Carolina or South Carolina or something like that. And they kept using his parking space, and the guy was apparently a super hothead. And they were in his parking space and he flipped out, and they kept doing it. And then he killed them all. But this went down as like an Islamophobic hate crime and so on, when everyone who had anything to do was like, no, he's just a hothead who flips out over his parking space. Mm-hmm. But to this day, if you look at when people give a speech about examples of Islamophobia in America, they'll still and 3 Muslims were killed by this guy and so on. And, anyway, it happens.
So this is another one which is actually This was on Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera reported it as one of the first sources as an Israeli airstrike, but on their live coverage, it was actually caught here as a missile that comes out of Gaza. People also reported the time entirely wrong. It actually happened at 18:59 in Gaza. And here's the live feed with sound, I think. Wait, let's see.
So by the way, what's the damage? Is the hospital just completely destroyed and everyone's dead in there, or what?
I saw some footage of the hospital being like vastly. It looks like just a pool of fire. I don't know, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's have a look at this.
هي الأكثر تعرضا للصواريخ منذ بداية هذه الحرب. عمدة المدينة كانت تحدث قبل أيام عن أكثر من 1000 صاروخ طال هذه المدينة، وأكثر من 170 صاروخا سقط بالفعل في داخلها وأحدث دمارا في البنى التحتية وفي السيارات وفي المباني العامة والخاصة.
This is the same footage, but it was reported directly
you played
live.
The same footage. How many times you got to play the same footage, but this time with a bunch of
Arabic
gibberish
stuff. Yeah. And
doesn't that suck, by the way? Like, regardless of your opinion, you've got a hospital and you're trying to help people and take care of injured people and stuff, and someone blows it up. And it's either Israel launching a missile, or it's someone in Gaza deliberately blowing it up, or it's some idiot misfiring something and blows it up. But regardless, you're trying to take care of injured, and then your hospital gets leveled.
Yeah, well, I meant earlier to say U.S. embassy in Lebanon, not Israel embassy. There is no Israel embassy in Lebanon. So I think there is no Israeli embassy in Lebanon, because the two countries are really having problems with each other.
Let's get one there.
But yes,
let's get two.
So this is what is going on. Currently, the latest news are just all independent evidence shows that this is a rocket from Gaza. Because of that, it looks like this is what happened. But I can only look at the evidence so far, and then come to a minor conclusion, which is still not completely verifiable. In the end, it could turn out that this is some really sinister stuff that is at work. It could lead to the fact that it was Hamas or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is another group. That's what the Israeli IDF is saying right now, the Israeli Defense Forces. Plus, I think there's also a report of the IDF saying that they have direct evidence of those people acknowledging that this was indeed their attack gone wrong, and that will be published. I'm not sure if that is official, verified, but we will come back to that. I want to look at the Mohammed Hijab video now. What do you think?
Yeah.
Isa87 said small Twitter videos are hardly evidence. This is not a small Twitter video. It is directly from major news outlets. Posted on Twitter. So just for that to be pointed out. Okay, let's look at this. So what do you think, David? Will Mohammed Hijab prove that he's right here? What do you say?
I mean, I can't think of what, again, I wasn't terribly paying attention because it just degenerated very quickly. And it really seemed like Mohammed Hijab kind of set the tone and derailed it really quickly. And then Piers just rolled with it and they started bickering back and forth. And so this isn't saying that Mohammed Hijab doesn't have any points or something. I just think that, like, if you want to understand his positions and actually think about them and either agree with them or respond to them or something like that, that his own videos that he made responding to Ben Shapiro are a better resource on his ideas than this just back and forth that they were doing. It seems like, even though it was short, it's like 22 minutes long. Even though it was short, it seems like they could have done more if it wasn't just, prove this, prove this, prove this, prove this, prove this.
Yeah. So it is. He just went there with a completely, with the attitude, with the typical Mohammed Hijab attitude that we know, and you can also see it immediately. Like as soon as he is put on the screen here, look at how he sits there. I mean, it's just wait a minute, not this one.
Mohammed Hijab joins me now. Mohammed,
Look at this. What are you trying to do? Like, this is such a typical Mohammed Hijab sense. Like, try being there to appear strong and arrogant and humiliate the other side. This is like what?
Yeah, and again, you have to wonder who his, because he decides who his target audience is. You know what I mean? He decides who he's going to appeal to, and a lot of he's usually trying to impress his fans, and you do that by saying me strong than you. That's what he's normally doing. He will occasionally try to appeal to other people, but yeah, look at him. You could tell by his posture. He's like flexing on Piers Morgan, who is like the size of one of Hijab's legs.
Nobody actually sits like that. Nobody actually sits like that.
What are you going to say? What are you going to say? How dare you say that on your show?
So I saw the reactions from people. The Muslims, of course, they're flooding the comment sections. They're like, "Yeah, Mohammed Hijab did a fantastic
Of course,
job."
it's made for them.
But the non-Muslim audience, the people that have seen it, I see mostly people are disgusted and they think, "What the hell is wrong with this guy?"
Couldn't we have predicted that? That's what happens with every discussion.
Because of that, I love it.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's why I want this to happen over and over and over again. And that's why we're kind of in this perfect spiral right here, where all the Dawa guys, they switched from trying to impress Westerners to try and impress their own fans, because they became more concerned about the avalanche of apostasy, and they want to flex on everyone, show that they're strong. And so now it's just it's we love it, because the more they do it, the more their fans love it. And if that's what your goal is, then you just keep trying to show that flexing on everybody, showing that you're strong. Whereas the rest of the world is going, wait, these are the representatives you're putting forward?
Yeah. So, Kevin James Johnson, please introduce Mimi Hijab as an Oxford graduate. Please show respect.
I kind of caught that point, but it's like, why don't you introduce me as an Oxford graduate?
Let's see that.
Welcome back. Last week, I interviewed the Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro on the crisis in Israel. His powerful emotional analysis made headlines around the world. 5 million people have watched that interview so far, a measure of the enormous emotion and division this conflict has awoken.
More people will watch
Mohammed Hijab, the controversial pro-Palestine influencer with nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers of his own. Here's what he had to say about it.
Do you think Piers Morgan, on fair grounds, would try and speak to me about an issue like this? Or Ben Shapiro, when they know what I'm going to come with?
What is up with that shirt?
You know, don't pretend you don't know who I am. You've been watching my videos. You know what I'm about. Your silence
looks like a doll dress.
And your cowardice is apparent.
Right, so he said that that Piers Morgan would not talk to him because they know it. But now he is here in a studio with Piers Morgan.
No, I'm serious. What's up with that shirt? It looks like it's 5 sizes too small. It looks like it was made for a doll. Now I'm all in favor of guys, showing their masculinity by wearing pink and stuff. But that actually looks like a doll shirt. Anyway, no, beside the point.
Let's see.
Well, Mohammed Hijab joins me now. Mohammed, thank you very much for coming in. I hadn't actually watched your videos. I have now. I've watched a few of them. I'm aware you've got a massive following. You've got nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers. You're an influential person, and you have a lot to say about this issue, obviously. So I thank you for coming in, but I'm not too cowardly to talk to you. I don't have a horse in this race. I think I've tried to straddle a divide of being fair-minded with all sides. I've had all voices on the show.
I commend you for that, actually, to be honest, for bringing me on.
But now's where I'm going to derail it for the entire show to impress my fans.
Seriously, Mohammed Hijab, Islamists who like this kind of stuff, do you guys really think that the non-Muslims viewing this will somehow take something positive away from this kind of attitude? Do you guys really think that the people who are not brought up in your wild I'm strong culture will be impressed by this? You're doing the opposite of that.
Yeah, there will be a small proportion of the population who's impressed by this sort of thing, but yeah, he's going to keep having the same impact on that he had on Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson, and people like that. But I mean, think about this, right? This is Piers Morgan. If Mohammed Hijab had now, Piers may have him back in the future just based on the number of people who watch this. Like, you're getting tons and tons of views. But I mean, is he really impressed by Mohammed Hijab and really thinking, hey, this is when I need a good representative of Islamic ideas, I want this guy on? No, it's like, oh, this guy's trying to show off for his fans.
What I can tell you is that Piers Morgan will probably invite him back because
if he does, it's because of the clicks.
Yes,
Mohammed Hijab does get clicks. And that's why I recommended. That's why I sent a message to Bill Maher, and it's like, please get him on. Can you imagine Mohammed Hijab and Ben Shapiro on Real Time with Bill Maher, and the audience? You get the audience from the Jerry Springer show. That would break every record for every show ever. It would completely shatter the internet. Set it up, someone.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news: the UN human rights chief says that the deaths in the Gaza.
Did you say sheep?
No, that the chief says the deaths from Gaza hospital blast are unacceptable. Thanks for this update. We didn't know that the deaths are unacceptable. That we know that.
Thank you, UN. You're super useful.
Very useful. Thank you, UN chief. Thanks. What would we do without this very important piece of information?
Do you realize I did caveat that with unfair ground? So let's hope that this interview is conducted.
I intend to be completely fair.
Yeah, sure.
I promise you, because all I want to get to here is a real sense of what is going to happen. We can all look back at. We can all look back. Let me just. We can all look back.
Before that, Piers. Sorry.
Look, he's even jumping in.
I want to say fair grounds. You introduced me as a Palestinian controversial.
I actually corrected myself.
Right. So
I said pro-Palestinian.
He
did say pro-Palestinian. I heard
the word controversial come into play.
I think you're controversial.
So are you.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
So is the ambassador. Why didn't you introduce?
Look at this, like he's wasting time with. What do you call me controversial?
I know,
no, isn't this interesting?
Man.
Like saying, hey, my next guest is controversial is not like an insult. That's a good thing if you're having shows like this. You want your guest to be controversial. That's why people click on. That's why people did click on it, because he's controversial. Just jumping on the nitpicking and you're attacking me and I'm a victim here right at the beginning. Very annoying.
It's just such an ego trip to have. I mean, go there to discuss the issue. This is not about you, man.
I'm happy to say that to many people, her views would be controversial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes. Can you imagine? Like, hang on. Why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate? I didn't.
So petty, man.
Notice. Who insists upon that, right? Like, did Ben Shapiro and you better introduce me as the Harvard graduate with a JD from Harvard? You got to introduce me like that. No, if you were introducing Ben Shapiro, someone might introduce him like that, but you'd be more inclined to introduce you as what you're known for. Okay, this is a guy from the Daily Wire. If you were talking about Ben Shapiro, but YouTube, that's what he's known for. What? I don't know, man. It just sounds. Notice it sets up the vibe of the discussion. Like, I'm going to whine and complain about every little detail that you say, and we're going to get nowhere.
You know what's funny? Piers basically mocks him in response to this, and they don't even get it. He thinks this is somehow a good moment. Look at this now.
Commercial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
Okay. Or an Oxford graduate.
Go ahead.
He thinks this is a win for him. The audience thinks, look,
everyone is looking at this going, what an idiot.
He made him call an Oxford graduate. This is, how does Mohammed Hijab not see the mockery here?
Anything else you want? Anything else you wanted me to say?
No problem. You can be introduced as anything you like, frankly. It makes no difference to the debate. Let me ask you this. Where were you when you heard about what happened on October the 7th?
I was at home.
What was your reaction when you heard?
I was actually very sickened by it. And this is something I do want to put on the table, because I think it's fair for people to know this. In our religion, we do not believe, okay, as a Muslim, I am a Muslim, and I do not believe in the killing of any man, woman, or children, non-combatants. That is not despite the religious teachings. That is because of the religious teachings. So in terms of condemning Hamas and just jumping straight into it, I condemn not only Hamas, but any other entity, okay, wherein it's proven that this has been done, that the killing of combatants has been done. Therein, I condemn any party that does it.
Unless it's apostates.
Any party that kills people or strikes at people where it's more probable than not that it will hit a civilian target, I condemn them. And that's why I condemn the IDF. Because when they strike...
Immediately he comes to the IDF instead of that. So instead of talking about the actual attack, which was the entire question by Piers Morgan, the attack that took place on October 7th, he made it about condemning the killing of non-combatants and then immediately connected it to the IDF. But I just have one question. Mohammed Hijab, do you also condemn the killing of apostates, the killing of gay people, the killing of blasphemers, the killing of non-combatants in the middle of a war zone, like for example what Muhammad did and what he said about the women and children who die during a raid?
Yeah, we will. This is a long video for us to go through, so we're not going to have time to go into a lot of detail, but we are going to be covering Mohammed Hijab again because we did get derailed on Sunday. We ended up just taking tons of Q&A, but we still have some clips to go through. But we want to we're going to want to go into detail on this because everything he's saying that is from his religious perspective is complete nonsense. Muhammad killed non-combatants all the time, and if you look at like Sheikh Asim al-Hakim, he's saying, hey, we're going to give people the option, convert, pay the jizya, or you're dead. He's not talking about combatants. He's talking about going up and knocking on people's door. Convert, pay me, or die. So that actually sounds much more in line with Islam. Hey, we wanted to have Al-Fadi on real quick. That is because I told Al-Fadi he could come on with us this past weekend to plug his conference coming up. It's an online conference. And I'll be speaking there. Wanted to have him come on to let people know, and then I totally forgot. And so it's kind of weird to jump in now, but it's just to keep the word and so that people know that there's a conference this weekend online if people want to sign up. So unmute yourself, Al-Fadi.
Hey Al, how you doing?
Hey guys, how are you? Good to.
Hey, just tell us about the conference real quick.
Absolutely. So you're absolutely correct. We have a conference that started last weekend, but this weekend is really as exciting as the last one because we have you, David. We have two tracks. The track on Friday, the 20th, will be for evangelism, and it is by former Muslims. And if you don't mind me, I like to see if I can share some slides here. If I could, if not, no big deal. I'll type it down here. But anyway, the one on Friday has to do with evangelism and how to reach Muslims all over, whether on campuses or in different places, wherever you meet them. And it's all done by former Muslims from Saudi, myself included. And then the one on Saturday, that's the last one, October 21st. That's the apologetics one, where we have you, David, we have Anthony Rogers, Tony Costa, Dr. Edward Delcor, and Jay Smith. And the focus, obviously, each one of you will focus on a certain area of how to defend the faith or do polemics or apologetics to Islam. Your topic, I think, has to do with the questions that you can ask when you're evangelizing Muslims. Jay Smith will focus on, of course, on the critical history of Islam. Anthony Rogers has been going through a series with me that has to do with basically finding the Messiah in the Psalms. Tony Costa will talk about comparing Allah in the Quran versus Allah in the Bible. And, you can see how exciting that topic would be. So I'm hoping that people will be able to still register. They can find the information, of course, on my YouTube community. They can find it on my Facebook at alfadi.sira. And it's very simple. It is Al-Fadi Academy, alfadiacademy.com/conference, alfadiacademy.com/conference. And that's the address right there.
Yeah, and go ahead and text me that link, and I'll send it to AP, and he can put it somewhere where people can find it.
I will do, and we also send you the email today, by the way, David, for additional information on how to join us that day.
All right, sounds good, and
thank you.
Yep, we're going to get back to our topic because AP is fuming because you just invited people to an evangelism conference on an atheist channel. Not just an atheist, a very angry atheist.
And I was just looking at memes here, so yeah.
All
right, brother. All right, brother.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
All right. I was just looking at memes here for my enjoyment, where I just came across this meme here where Mohammed Hijab shares a joke where Daniel Kikachu, where I am here as a little pathetic dog, and I say, "Boo boo, I'll be dead if I was murtad, apostate under Islamic law." And Daniel Kikachu says yes, and Mohammed Hijab shares this and says, "LOL." So this is him just making light and fun of the idea that I would be killed under his Islamic state.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I mean, he's speaking, he's acting like an idiot the way he's carrying himself, but at the same time, when he's saying and in Islam we condemn the killing of all non-combat, he knows he's lying. He can,
Yes.
I mean, him and all his buddies advocate the killing of all kinds of non-combatants, and ultimately the violent subjugation of all non-combatants. Everyone has to be subjugated to Islam, and you die if you don't want to live according to their rules. So he's just flat out lying.
He's also typically obfuscating here by basically saying, "Yeah, I condemn this and this and that." Instead of just condemning the attacks, condemning Hamas, he doesn't do it. He he condemns specific things. He did this very same thing when I asked him if he condemns the killing of apostates, because he was trying to argue that he's actually not for these violent rules. And I said, okay, so if that's the case, do you condemn the killing of apostates? And he responded to me by saying, I absolutely condemn the killing of apostates at the moment, because there is no authority and this and that. So he changed it completely into something that I didn't ask, and then moved on with that. He does this. He likes to do this. He's a dishonest prick.
You think?
Right. They know that it's more probably than not going to hit civilian targets. They know that the majority of civilians, or the majority of people that are going to be affected, are civilians. We know that from the various operations that have been conducted. We know that because now in Gaza, you find that there is a blockade, as you know, for 17 years, but also they're stopping them from electricity, water, which is a war crime under Geneva 4 of the Geneva Convention, Protocol 4 of the Geneva Convention. So this is something I'm surprised you didn't actually mention.
So he completely changed the topic here.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. He didn't really, he completely changes the topic while answering the question.
And by the way, I mean, Israel said, hey, you took a bunch of hostages. We're turning off your water. Give us the hostages back. We'll turn your water back on.
Yeah, this is not just a regular...
it's not just, hey, we're being mean to you.
Yeah, it's not just like, hey, in order to make our enemies weaker, we will cut off all their supplies. No, that's not what happened. Why don't you represent the issue correctly? Why don't you talk about that?
To the ambassador.
Well, I did mention it.
You didn't say it's a war crime.
Well, I think it's an arguable point whether it's a war crime.
Okay, let me ask you now.
They are saying Israel, at the moment, Israel is adamant. They are not.
I will now put on the screen, since he says that he, of course, condemns attacks on civilians and this and that. I will put on the screen Mohammed Hijab's Twitter feed, where he began to be very active as soon as the stuff broke out, the fighting broke out. On October 7th, the attack happened. On October 5th, he made a tweet about something else. On October 7th, his first response to the issue was a response to Jordan Peterson, who said, give him hell, meaning Hamas. He said, do you think that Yahweh's going to give him hell?
He said, give him hell, eh?
Yeah. He said, do you think they're going to give him hell, or do you think it will be an intentional bombing of the densely populated civilian area?
Which I said when we originally looked at it, I said that is a fair point to bring up. When you say give them hell, you understand there are going to be a lot of people caught in the crossfire here.
Yeah. His follow-up post is just a retweeting from this MMA guy who is which is basically it looks like a celebration of the freedom fight of the Palestinians. The other one is simply just saying the United States is one of the most responsible entities for civilian death in the last 100 years, and so on. He didn't tweet a single thing, not a single thing, condemning the abhorrent violence that we have all seen on October 7th on the civilian population in Israel. Not a single thing. But he is then here now trying to somehow, hold people accountable for not condemning Israel, for being one-sided, and claiming that he's completely against civilian deaths and all of that.
And look at that, he's retweeting Daniel Hakikachu. Is Daniel Hakikachu against killing non-combatants? That guy
definitely not. He's not.
Who doesn't Daniel Hakikachu want executed? Like how you would. It seems he wants vastly more people executed than not executed, and he's not talking about combatants.
Sherry said, did you condemn the violence in Gaza a day later? No, I didn't, and I wouldn't. Why would I do that? I'm asking a serious question. You can now widely open your mouth and your eyes and go like, what? But this is the response. No, why would I do that?
I'm actually not a fan of the hey, whenever anything happens, we have to go person by person. Do you condemn this? Do you condemn, like, what is your condemnation of
Because
something?
this question is so stupid. Why in the world would you ask me if I condemn a violence, a response on Gaza a day after we saw such a horrible attack against civilians? Why do you think it is a smart comeback from you when I ask you, did you condemn the violence which Hamas committed on October 7th? Why do you think it's an intelligent response to then say, well, did you condemn Hamas striking back? Are you stupid? Serious question, are you stupid? I do not condemn it. What I do condemn is, for example, I said it earlier today, if it turned out that that Israel was behind the hospital bombing, for example, this is completely out of proportion, completely horrible, should not be done. Whoever is behind it, I will condemn it, and I will say they should be held accountable, because it has nothing to do at all with the war between Hamas and Israel. And if it's Israel, I will condemn that too. But a regular response to Hamas kidnapping the population, violating them, and so on, why would I condemn that?
You can't condemn anything. You're an atheist.
Yeah.
You know what's now that I just said that, like, notice how especially Hakikachu is the champion of it, but the whataboutism, anytime you are going to condemn anything, all he has to do is find anyone else in all of history who did the same thing, and like, if you say, hey, I condemn child marriage, but King so-and-so in 1292 married a young girl, so how can you condemn it? This whataboutism. I mean, just imagine if we responded like that. Like, anything Israel does, we just, but what about such and such Muslim in the year 1272 and what he did in this country, so you can't condemn it. Like, just imagine if we use the exact same. We might have to do that just to show them what it's like. And just use nothing but whataboutism. Anything they bring up, just say, but what about your Muslim leader who did this 1,000 years ago or something like that, and act like that's an answer, until they get the point of how stupid that sort of response is.
Yeah.
Breaching war crimes, right? It will be determined.
But if we could,
it will be determined whether that's the case.
No, sorry.
What is it?
That's incorrect.
Mohammed, let me make a point to you back on that. I think surely we can agree that what happened on October the 7th was a war crime. I mean, when people are taking grandmothers and executing them, kidnapping young children, when they're killing babies in their cribs, we can agree that's war crime, right?
Okay, babies.
Can we?
Surely, of course, 100%.
Right.
But babies in the crib. Sorry, what was the evidence for that?
You don't believe that happened?
Sorry, CNN.
Don't they do like 5 minutes of this?
Yeah. And this is so ridiculously absurd. He prepared for a very certain point. It looks like he prepared for the whole thing, 40 babies beheaded point, which is why he's trying to make a point here. But he's actually contesting that that babies in their cribs were killed. We have major missiles indiscriminately, without precision, fired. We have entire homes burned down, villages burned down, entire families burned down. Hamas members going around into villages indiscriminately shooting around. And you want to contest that babies have been killed?
No,
are you serious, man?
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Alex Jones after that school massacre, and he's like, "Wow, no, maybe all this is made up. These are actors." Blah 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 blah, and just went on that with this. Prove it. Why aren't they posting the pictures of all these dead babies? All these dead kids? Why aren't they posting all this? Why aren't they showing us the picture? And then notice, even if you do, that could be AI. That could be AI. You don't know what's happening. With that said, the fair point is, there's so much misinformation that comes out in the immediate aftermath of an attack that you have to be careful about what you claim. Like, even the claim that 40 babies were beheaded, that was based on sort of conflating two things a reporter said. She said babies were dead, or she said 40 babies were dead, and then she said, and even beheading babies, and then people put it together as 40 babies beheaded. So one, there's a question of like how accurate were even the two claims she made, but then it's like, okay, she didn't even claim that. That's what people sort of ran with. So anyway, long story short, the takeaway valid point that Mohammed Hijab is making is you need to be careful. But yeah, the claim that babies weren't killed or something like that, I don't know. It seems like there's some evidence that babies were killed. I mean, they got the picture of the charred baby, and then they said that's AI, and then they said no, it's not AI.
Yeah, he will actually argue that as well. He will actually argue that one as well. But so I have the whole how it started and how it spread to that issue. It's like one soldier at first comes out and says that there are many bodies in there, elderly, women, men, children, even babies, some of them beheaded. That's what he says. Then a journalist comes and says, I have been informed that there were, I think she says 40 babies beheaded. And then later she issues a correction, so to speak, without saying it's a correction, says that many people were beheaded, and among the dead are men, women, children, and so on. And that just goes and goes and goes and goes and turns into something weird. But what we do have confirmed is that there are most definitely dead men, women, elderly, children, and even babies. We most definitely have all of that. We have proof for that. We have evidence from all kinds of independent journalists on that. We have it all. What we don't have evidence for is that there were strictly 40 babies that were beheaded. That's what we don't have evidence for. And now they want to argue about if there is evidence for dead babies or not. This is just so inhuman and insanely ridiculous. And yes, we have actual photo footage of babies dead, which were posted. Ben Shapiro only posted one of those. I don't want to put them on the screen. I shouldn't. But if you really want to go for it, go and look at it. It was posted by the IDF and also by different journalists and media.
AI. Maybe
White
it's AI.
House, Sky News, which you work for, all say it's
I don't work for Sky News.
Well, your thing.
I did work at CNN. I saw one reporter who retracted it because she wasn't sure about the source.
It's unconfirmed by the White House.
But then the Daily Telegraph and the Jerusalem Post and other sources then did publish pictures,
CNN,
which indisputably show babies have been killed.
No, it showed one baby who's been charred, and that picture has been put up on Twitter and has been refuted by many people saying that it's actually AI.
No, that's completely untrue.
This is so stupid. This is a Twitter myth. It has been debunked.
Yeah, I didn't follow it very carefully, but the way it seemed to me, and anyone could correct me on this, and you could correct me on this, the way it seemed was they said people basically said pictures or it didn't happen, and Ben Shapiro posted a picture of a charred baby. Then someone responded and said, nope, we've proven that this is AI, and then it went in a community note or something like that this is AI, and then that was refuted as a lie.
Yeah, what they did do is
actually
some idiots on Twitter just went to this online website, which is like check if a picture is AI or human made, and that system said this is AI, and then people started posting and saying, "Look, this proves that this is AI." But that same website has like a 50-50 success rate or something like that, and you put pictures of actual humans in there and it says it's AI. You put actual AI stuff in there, it says this is human. And it's not sure. It even makes sure that it even explains that this is not sure.
Isn't this nuts that there are lots of people just faking stuff and competing to see who can spread nonsense the fastest. And it's people from all different sides doing it, but it's going to get to the point where you have no idea what to believe or what's true and what's false.
Yeah. I am going to quickly try and play a video, which I believe is censored and doesn't show the pictures we want to look at. But here is France 24, which tackles this.
October 12th, by the Prime Minister's office, where we see the horrifying photos of babies murdered.
Oh, by the way, small correction. Mohammed Hijab also claims that there was only one photo of a child baby, which is not even true. There were at least 3 published on the IDF, of which Ben Shapiro only posted 1. So he's completely wrong on the whole, on the basics of this information. And
They're all
tries to
AI.
argue
They're
it.
all AI. You can't prove it.
Burned by the Hamas monsters. These photos were viewed over 7.5 million times on X since they've been published, as anti-Israel users accuse Israel of sharing fake photos created using artificial intelligence. Here we have some examples of these posts where these users blame Israel of sharing fake photos of Hamas atrocities. We've obviously edited out the images of the burned babies. Evidently, these photos are extremely graphic, and we've decided not to publish them ourselves, as users shared 2 different photos together with these claims. The first photo, this one of Ben Shapiro, American conservative journalist, sharing this photo of the burned
Why didn't you
baby.
say Harvard graduate?
Case,
It's a conservative.
Detected this image as being generated by artificial intelligence. Then the second photo being shared, where we see this puppy.
This is the most ridiculous one. This image here is a hoax that was created by some guy who actually said on Twitter, it was very easy for me to create this in 5 minutes. And people actually took this. Even some supposed, self-proclaimed journalists on Twitter took this image here, which was created as a hoax, and said this is the real image. But they edited the dog out and edited a bird baby in there.
Doesn't this suck? It's like it looks like it's only going to get worse. Like people are competing for who can spread the most nonsense the fastest. It's crazy.
Yes, but the thing is, I feel like the moment I saw this, I thought, okay, who is actually stupid enough to believe that the Israeli Defense Forces took a random photo of a dog
puppy
and replaced the dog with a burnt baby and published it for the whole world to see? Who in the world actually thinks that's what happened?
And that's part of it. If you really think these guys are as evil as you claim, like what would be beyond them?
Yeah, man.
On the Prime Minister's account on X on October 12th.
Well, so what alleged evidence supports these claims, Catalina?
Here's a software that we saw on the fake claims. It's called AI or Not. And if you can insert any given image and it will detect if it was used or created using artificial intelligence or not. The problem is, how accurate is this program? Generally, it's accurate when images are have a high resolution. However, according to Bellingcat, this software can create false positives. They tested the software, and out of 20 photos, 6 real photos were mistakenly identified as having been generated using artificial intelligence.
Oh wait, this Pope image, which was AI generated, was also identified as human-made.
And in fact, AI or Not went to Twitter following this controversial debate, where they confirmed that the result on this photo is actually inconclusive because of the fact that the photograph was compressed and altered to blur out the name tag. So what?
Look, the website itself that these guys went to say, look, this website says it is AI. That website itself said that, it's inconclusive because the footage itself was edited.
Name tag, are they talking?
But the people will still go around saying it is AI, just like Mohammed Hijab. And when somebody like Mohammed Hijab goes and actually talks to Piers Morgan, to so many people, and tries to make this point, it just, the question I want to ask is, how can you take such a person seriously?
That's the issue. I mean, it's the same thing with Dawa, right? Like you can say something like, such and such is a scientific miracle, and they'll spread it around the world and pay no attention to the refutation of it. It's like a parallel with this. Like, you can make up a response to you can just completely fabricate a response, and it'll spread around, and then people just don't care about the refutation because you told them what they want to hear.
You know what's so ironic about this too? Here's Mohammed Hijab 6 hours ago. If you have been public about the issue of Palestine and Israel and cannot condemn the latter for bombing the hospital, then no, you have no claim to morality. You are the true terrorist sympathizer. You are the one bereft of compassion. You are the sadistic psychopath. Now, no matter who did it, immediately, as soon as it happened, he took to Twitter and made it clear that this was an Israeli bomb targeting the hospital, and he condemns all those who do not condemn the Israeli airstrike on the hospital. This is clearly not in alignment with his whole attitude there, where he demands evidence and doubts these photos and says it's AI generated. It's quite clear here that this guy has just huge double standards, right? Man.
They are talking about this name tag on the photo shared by Israel, where they blur out the name of the burned baby. This was obviously done on a purpose, which is what gave the false positive that was.
Oh yeah, someone pointed out 42,000 people liked that Mohammed Hijab tweet, which immediately accused Israel.
Used in the fake claims.
And that's the point. There are people on there who will never listen to any refutation. In other words, there are people who will go to their deaths. Keep in mind, I don't know what happened. We saw a little picture. I'm going to have to see more than that before I decide, oh, here's what happened. But assuming Israel had nothing to do with it, this is a misfire on some rocket from Gaza or something like that, which is what it looks like. I lean in that direction, definitely. But there are people who will never pay any attention to that. And they just, I saw a tweet from Mohammed Hijab, and will go to their deaths. Will go to their deaths years from now, still concluding that Israel blew up a hospital.
Yeah, I mean, they even stick to the whole thing right now that the images of this one woman who was mistreated and stripped naked and paraded, that she's actually alive. They even still stick to that, which is completely false.
Oh, on
And
AI,
it's rough because AI is just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And so anyone's going to get to the point where they can fake anything.
Look, the same program says it is human. I tried a different side. It also said it's human. So anyway, long story short, how embarrassing is it that this guy wants to humiliate Piers Morgan, and then he goes there and makes such an idiotic argument that I normally expect from random people who don't know anything and who do not do any research. This is so stupid.
True.
That is true. What's your source? What's your source?
There's been a thorough investigation into the claim that was put up there by some rogue person on Twitter that it was AI. It has been completely disproven.
Okay, let me ask you a
picture,
question.
which was published on the Telegraph, is a genuine.
Look at this idiotic logic. He is asking Piers Morgan for a source that it was not AI generated and that it was authentic. A photo is published. He goes for this absurd explanation that it is AI generated, and then he wants Piers Morgan to prove that it is not AI generated. Mohammed Hijab, is that how your logic works? David, is that how this works?
That's exactly how it works.
Man, this guy.
What's your source? What is your source?
Are you seriously arguing that babies weren't killed?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying
you have to prove it.
I didn't say that. I only implied it.
Yeah, and you have to prove it. You have to prove it to me, and any source you give, I'm going to say, but there's another source that hasn't confirmed that. Notice he said that earlier, right? Pierce is saying, oh, this is what happened. He goes, but the White House hasn't confirmed it. It's like on what planet? Oh, the White House hasn't confirmed it. That's the definitive refutation. Notice the White House didn't confirm it. It didn't happen. Yeah. So anything that the White House hasn't confirmed has never happened, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it.
The same thing happened with the IDF. The IDF said when asked about the number of, they were asked about 40 beheaded babies. They said that they stand with what the initial reports coming from the soldiers and the media representatives are. That said, we cannot and will not confirm the precise details of the victims and their states. Even if we were able, we will not confirm. This is our policy. That's the announcement they made. And then what people took away from that is, look, they said they can't confirm it, which means it never happened. Now they are admitting it. Dude.
Source. Yeah. You know full well you've been fired from the Daily Mirror for fake images. So you know full well about the
I didn't accept they were fake.
Exactly. The UK government did.
Yeah, they did.
Because
the UK government, just to be clear, had waged, in my view, an illegal war in Iraq.
So you're allowed to go against the government, and I'm not allowed to go against the Israeli government.
Of course, you're allowed to.
So tell me
that funny. You can go against anything you want.
Who said you're not allowed to?
It's just, are you being stupid or not?
Who said you're not allowed to?
Yeah. Look at Hijab's face there. It's funny.
It looks like he's 2 seconds away from saying, I thought you believe in free speech, so why do you not like what I said?
Yeah, well, look, Piers Morgan says I can't form my own views.
For those who don't know the context, that's what he said to me because he's stupid.
Assumptions about me, Mohammed.
Yes, I was the softball question.
I was the editor.
Ambassador of
no, they weren't. I put
Golden showers.
Ambassador. I was editor of the Daily Mirror when we opposed the Iraq War
Sure.
on the grounds that I believed it was an illegal war.
Yeah.
I still believe that to this day. I think it
Good.
stained this country.
Fantastic.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did know that.
Right.
But that's not the point I was making. I was making the point that if you're allowed to go against the government in their classification of an image, then if you have pro-Palestinian activists who are saying, actually, we need to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to that?
The Daily Telegraph published on page 3.
Do you apply the very same standards to all of the stuff that comes out of the Palestinian side? I'm really curious.
No, and that's what's crazy here. Notice it's another version of whataboutism, right? Like, oh, you're telling me I shouldn't be skeptical of this image of a baby just because a bunch of people investigated and found out that the claim that it was AI has been debunked. I'm not going to say that this was an actual baby. I'm not going to say that because I'm skeptical. And you say, hey, that's ridiculous. It's been confirmed by a ton of investigators. But what about the time that that you disagreed with the government? What about that? Since you did it, therefore I can do it. And so notice, following that reasoning, you could reject any evidence. We could sit back right now and say, we don't believe that Israel has ever dropped a bomb on Gaza. Prove to me otherwise. And we're just going to be as skeptical as possible and say, nope, we don't believe it ever happened. We believe it was aliens. And Hijab would say, what are you talking about, man? We've got all this evidence here. And say, no, I mean, you reject certain things, don't you? Haven't you rejected?
Yeah.
Didn't you reject that picture? So we get to reject that. Are you saying we don't have freedom to do that? It's kind of silly.
That just shows that that he doesn't really care about the facts. He doesn't care really about the truth. What he cares about is just his right to do it, right? It's like, so you do this, why can't I? I'm pretty sure, I'm very confident here, and I want to make this very clear. So right now, the major news is about the hospital bombing earlier, which where hundreds of people died, which is horrible. And I said it before, I tweeted about it. It is horrible. No matter who did it, if in the end, after all of the investigation and the research, it comes out that it was not Israel, that it was definitely Hamas or Islamic Jihad, will now Mohammed Hijab, as a result of that, come out and say, I retract my previous statements and I hereby condemn this and this? Will he actually do that? I doubt it. And I say it here.
And why would
if it turns out that Israel did it, I will acknowledge it, and I will say they should be held accountable for that. I will. Can he do the same thing? I doubt it.
And why would he? I mean, so no matter what, you could be skeptical about anything, right? Like 50 news agencies could conclude tomorrow that it was actually a Gaza rocket. And if you want to be skeptical, you can say, but it wasn't confirmed by the such and such news agency in Saskatchewan. So this is the proof.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, man.
They will say it was AI generated too, like in the end.
Should they be entitled to that, yes
you're
or no?
talking about, the Daily
Should they be
Telegraph
entitled to that, yes or
said
no?
they had independently verified
Should they be
the picture, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their
Primary source
verification is
material.
wrong.
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia. I know you.
Look at his pomposity.
Look at what he's asking for. Primary source in academia. Wait, what?
He wants a research paper.
Show me the peer-reviewed journal article about this that proves this. Show me the peer-reviewed journal article.
This obsession with academics, dude, this is not how things work in the real world. I don't know what you're talking about, Mohammed. John.
He's done a journalism degree, which is, frankly, is not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism.
What in the world?
Yeah,
what is the point of this?
His credentials, right? Like, journalism degree is not relevant. It's not relevant. The only thing that's relevant now is whether you're an expert in AI technology. You're not.
How in the world do you intend to have a proper conversation with anybody if you act like this?
He's done a journalism.
He's basically attacking Piers Morgan based on his education.
Independently verified
Should they be
the picture, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their verification is wrong.
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia. I know you've done a journalism degree, which is, frankly, is not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No,
this is so ridiculous. His journalism degree is much more relevant to the issue than your degree at the moment. As a journalist, this guy goes through years of weighing one piece of information against the other, reporting on things as they come out, talking to different viewpoints, different opinions, and so on. he's probably much more qualified here to come to a judgment or to analyze the sources than you are. So stupid, man.
It's not to this conflict, but we academics require primary source evidence.
Did you just say
We
we
academics.
academics?
We academics.
This is Captain Golden Showers himself.
Oh my gosh. We academics.
Evidence.
The Daily Telegraph said they verified the picture.
That's a secondary
Fine.
source.
You may say
That's secondary source.
You may say
That's a secondary source.
Well, you may say you don't think it's genuine. I don't agree with you. But the wider point.
I wonder if Mohammed Hijab believes in the moon landing and believes in outer space, believes in the shape of the earth. I wonder if he believes in any of these things. I mean, they are secondary sources in the end, so who knows?
That was my point.
But
I said I want a source. I just want to see the
what we're
evidence.
arguing about here. You're not.
It's just bickering over nonsense when they could be discussing something relevant.
Minutes now. It's just him being petty about the sources and all of that. First, it's his ego. Then it's these the images.
All to show that he's strong. He's strong. He's strong.
Instead of talking about the actual conflict here.
See the evidence.
So why are you picking on the semantics of the veracity of one picture, which has been verified by British journalists? Why are you picking on that?
British journalists are
some
not an
example of
authority.
somehow this wasn't as bad as it seems.
British journalists are not an academic authority. You know that full well.
Academic authority. What are you talking about, man?
Their news, isn't this amazing? It's like people are reporting news. That's the job of reporters. And he's saying, people in this completely different field haven't talked about this yet.
They didn't talk about this at Oxford. Like the doctors, the history professors, they haven't published research papers peer-reviewed on this issue. Therefore, we cannot trust anything that comes from the reporters who are down there in the field.
I love this guy, man.
Looking at the evidence and recording things.
I love this guy. This guy should be on every single channel. Every single like guys, any of you anyone out there who has access to news channels, podcasts and stuff like that, just look at how many people you can get to watch your stuff if you have this guy on here. Get him on there, get him arguing, and he'll do the rest.
I mean, at this point, what Piers Morgan probably thinks so far in his conversation, this guy is so dumb. I'm going to invite him again. This is fantastic. That's what he probably thinks here. And I can't blame him for that. Who the hell makes such a... You can't trust those reporters. They are not academics. What in the world are you talking about, man?
Example of somehow this wasn't as bad as it seems.
British journalists are not an academic authority. You know that full well. You've been fired from Daily Mirror for that very purpose.
Man.
Imbeciles.
What I'm saying to you is this: putting this issue to the side, I think you're trying to use this as a red herring to move away from the bigger
red
issues.
herring?
This is a red herring because already 1,023 children have been killed in Gaza.
What red herring?
That wouldn't make it a red herring.
What about this is a red herring?
The whole issue of the baby being killed is a red herring because
how is that
over 1,000 children in Gaza have been killed at some. That's not what a red herring is. I don't know what he's talking about.
I know that that's not a red herring. Shouldn't this guy know that?
Yeah, he should.
Isn't he an expert?
Yeah, he's an academic. Look, he's got a suit on.
Please, somebody explain to me how that is a red herring.
That's why. And you didn't ask the ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador.
No,
I said 3,000 people have already been killed in a week
in
Gaza.
Well, you didn't ask her whether she
even listen to my interview with the ambassador?
I did listen, but excuse me.
Well, don't put words in my mouth or say I didn't ask a question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you condemn the killing of those children by the IDF?
I tell you what I condemn.
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer.
I love how they go, yes or no.
Sure.
And because I've tweeted about this, right?
Oh, okay.
I think that what happened on October the 7th was one of the worst atrocities I have ever had to read about or watch on.
It happens every day in Palestine.
No.
So why do you care about that?
It actually does.
Every day. He just made the claim. It happens every day. Over 1,000 people are killed every day, men, women, and children, every day in Palestine.
Yeah, every day in Palestine, a bunch of people go in and
Yeah.
indiscriminately go from,
Jews fly over and hang gliders and crawl through
yeah,
tunnels and go and
go
slaughter a bunch of
to
people at a
go to
concert
gatherings. They just shoot them randomly
every
in
day.
toilets on the fields,
Every
take
day.
some of them, strip them naked, parade them across town, and everyone spits on them.
By the
It's-
way, isn't it amazing? Like he's up. What's your primary source? What's your post? It hasn't been confirmed by the White House. Oh, this 1,000 plus people get killed every day in Palestine.
Yeah.
Like what? Like he could just say something.
Yeah. Fair point. Blood is red. They're talking about blood. That's why it's a red herring. That makes sense. That's the best explanation I have so far. Nobody else showed me why this is a red herring. Unfortunately, I just don't get it. I'm stupid.
No. The Israeli forces.
I've got the stats for that.
Israeli forces do not.
He's got the stats for that.
Cast-led
Wait a minute,
protective
Mohammed.
edge. Go and check it out.
Mohammed, Israeli forces.
Cast-led protective edge.
Israeli forces don't just go into Gaza on one day and grab
Look at Hijab.
grandmothers and kill babies in their
excuse
beds.
me. Okay.
And
No, hold on.
rape and abuse
So,
women.
rape, is there any evidence for that?
It's been
Oh my God.
The real takeaway is guys, anyone can do this. And if you are in a position to do this, anyone can do this. And it's very easy to play skeptic and anything anyone wants to say.
Yes.
You could just say, what's your evidence for that? Okay, well, why should you take them seriously? Oh, okay, well, you say you take them seriously. What about this other person that didn't say the same thing? What about this other organization that didn't say the same thing? Well, what about this? Well, that's a journalist. That's not a scientist. What about this? It's very easy to do that. Doesn't mean you'd want to do that while you're on this show, unless you know you've got a bunch of stupid fans.
Man. This is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous on such a level. Where Mohammed Hijab, I'm looking at his Twitter feed right now, he shares posts by conspiracy theorists like Jackson Hinkle, who posts all kinds of random nonsense. And he posted that whole story of the baby being AI generated. Mohammed Hijab retweeted that several times. Completely unverified, easily debunked, idiotic hoax. And here he talks about source. What an embarrassment, man.
Abu Ahruf says Mohammed Hijab is a great academician and teacher. Thanks to him, I learned what golden showers are. Yeah. Hijab, to his credit, has taught everyone some things about some weird things that we weren't aware of.
So if we showed Mohammed Hijab the footage of this woman who was taken and put on the back of a pickup truck and paraded, spat on, with her legs bent and broken, and so on, what would he say? Would he say, well, how do we know that this is actually a woman? How do we know that she is not just playing a role here?
You think Jews with all their studios can't fake that?
Yeah. If I showed him videos of regular people being shot and killed at the festival, if he saw footage of they call it the road of death or something like that right now, leading from the festival where 260 dead bodies were found, so on the street and the festival together, would he then say, well, I don't know, AI generated? If he showed him photos of Hamas shooting into public toilets with the doors closed just to kill random people, whoever is in there, would he say, well, I don't know, maybe there is nobody in there. Maybe this is, Israel themselves did this.
Yeah, that's the point. You can dial up your skepticism to any level, right? You can reject everything. You can reject anything you want just by dialing up your skepticism high enough. And the thing you have to worry about is whenever someone says something you disagree with, you dial your skepticism up to 10 and no evidence will convince you of what they're saying. And then whenever someone is saying something you agree with, you drop your skepticism down to the bottom so that you'll accept anything. The problem is that seems kind of along the lines of what he's doing. Anyone who says something, even in a tweet, completely unverified that he agrees with, boom, shared. This is the conclusive proof. Anyone who says something that he disagrees with, then prove. Where's your proof? Prove that to me. Where's your primary source? Where's your primary source? When has Oxford University said this?
How do we know he graduated from Oxford?
Yeah, prove it. You haven't proven it.
Do we have academic sources which say that he did?
But here's my diploma. It can be faked. That can be.
Yeah.
You made that on your computer.
You are not an academic authority. Bring us the academic authority, the proof.
Yes,
Alex Hutton said
where's
Allah
the
is AI.
Where's the peer-reviewed journal article that says that was real?
Allah is AI generated. Prove that it's not true. Prove that Allah is not AI generated. Go on. You can't.
Multiple reports
No,
in
no, no,
multiple
from
mainstream
by whom?
media publications. Well, you're going to sit here and deny everything.
No,
right?
no, I'm not denying anything.
You are.
No,
I'm not denying anything.
I'm not denying anything.
Just saying I want the proof.
He just denied everything basically and says, "No, I'm not denying anything." Oh no, just saying, give me proof.
Accept that some civilians have been killed. I do accept this, and I already said
You don't believe any.
Wow. I didn't pay attention to that at all, but this quote really should be taken here.
civilians have been killed. I do accept this,
Right.
and rape. Is there any evidence for that?
It's been multiple reports
No,
in
no, no,
multiple
from
mainstream
by
media
whom?
publications. Well, you're going to sit here and deny everything.
No,
right?
no, I'm not denying anything.
You are.
No, I accept that some civilians have been killed. I do accept.
I accept that some civilians have been killed. That's his takeaway from the brutal attack, from which we have so many different angles, so much undeniable proof, 1,400 dead. His takeaway from that is, I know that some civilians have been killed. Great job.
I guess that's progress. Mohammed Hijab acknowledges that some civilians have been killed.
We have videos taken from civilians, videos taken from officials, videos taken from Hamas themselves. We have so many things.
Yeah,
of
these guys are
indiscriminately killing
recording everything on GoPros. And Hijab, what's your evidence? What's your evidence for that?
I don't think so. Maybe it was just an accident.
CGI. Maybe it's Hollywood.
We have GoPro footage of them going to a village and just attacking random people. There is no military there, no soldiers. Man,
Accept this, and I already said.
You don't believe any of the reports that women were.
and that's the thing too. In the beginning, when he was asked to condemn, he talked about condemning attacks on in regions where civilians could be targeted or something like that. He did not. He didn't condemn the direct targeting and killing of civilians. Right? At least I didn't hear that. I don't know if I missed it, but he didn't. And we have clear proof. This is not a debate. We have clear proof published by all sides that they deliberately targeted civilians, killed them, tortured them, took them hostage, did all kinds of different things to them.
No, he said because of his religion, he condemns the killing of non-combatants because it's forbidden in his religion, which is false, but he claimed that.
Okay.
So
No, I didn't say that. I said that it's still to
Well,
be
do you
verified.
think they were raped?
No, I don't know. It's like the Russell Brand thing. You said you don't know any to see the evidence. So why
Look, you hear that? See, you were skeptical of the stuff about Russell Brand. Therefore, I get to be skeptical about these claims. To be fair, he's right. He's right. You can say, hey, I've heard it. I've heard people say it. But where, what's the evidence? I want to hear from the actual witnesses who say they were raped.
And
hear
here's
from the rape victims.
But look at the comparison.
I want to confirm by the White House. Until the White House says it didn't happen.
Yeah, look at the comparison here. He's comparing the rape accusations against Russell Brand by multiple women who say that they have been abused, have been raped by this guy. Two terrorists.
Hang on. I just had the greatest idea ever. Can you imagine Mohammed Hijab and Russell Brand arguing? Oh my goodness, that would you see, highway, blah, 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 blah. Well, it'd be awesome.
I know, it would be fantastic.
No, that would break the internet, man.
But this, I don't even get. I mean, I lose faith in humanity, in the world, when I watch stuff like this. I mean, this guy brags about being an Oxford graduate. He walks around saying, I'm from the A side, philosophy, I'm a master, I'm an expert, I'm the biggest, the greatest. And then look at the comparison he makes. Jeez.
Okay, so when it's Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand, you don't know because you're friends.
No, it's been reported by legitimate news sources.
When it's Israel, you know they're raped. But when it's Russell Brand, you don't know.
Them.
When it's Russell Brand, you don't know if they're raped.
There's no comparison between Russell Brand and what's happened.
It's the same thing. It's a rape allegation.
It's not the same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
It's not the same
There
thing.
is not one single solitary difference between these two situations.
It's the same thing because it's a rape. Oh my God. This guy.
It's a metaphysical matter.
Yeah.
It is a metaphysical matter.
I'm not stuttering.
You are stuttering.
Oh, that was the dumbest point. That was
Yes,
like,
yes.
yeah, that's where all of Mohammed Hijab's fans, yay, you said he's stuttering. And that's where everyone else is like, oh my goodness, who is this
Yes.
idiot? Who is this idiot here?
Seriously, here is the contrast for those Muslims who are watching and who are actually impressed by Mohammed Hijab. I see you. To many of you, this was a highlight where you think this was amazing. He humiliated him by saying you're stuttering. To many others, we have seen them. To many others, to most of them, this was one of the lowest points where they lost all respect for Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah, this is
And maybe you should look at that and
This
think
is
about
pathetic.
the contrast. Like, why do you think that way, and others are just disgusted when they hear this? I will play it again now.
Yeah, you're talking about a war and people being killed and rape and child being killed. Why you stutter? Why you stutter? Ho, ho, ho! This will impress my fans. Why you stuttering? Why you stuttering?
Just such an ego thing. Look at this.
What's happening?
It's the
here?
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why stuttering?
I'm not
What?
stuttering.
Yeah, what
You are
does he know what a
stuttering.
stutter
You're
is?
contesting every single thing that I'm saying.
What the hell is that? And he's saying, well, why are you stuttering? Like, he's stuttering and asking him why he's stuttering.
Yeah,
Right
that's
to
that's
that
his
aside.
I don't know. That's just his like dumb tactics coming out, slipping out.
But why? What in the world is the point of saying why are you stuttering in this conversation?
Nothing, just flexing.
Yeah, it's just an ego trip. It's just a war of egos, which Piers Morgan is clearly not interested in, and Mohammed Hijab is only here because of that. It's just all about his ego. He can't let go of that for a second. Why are you stuttering?
No, and
This
that's
is
the real
embarrassing, man.
that's the real issue with a narcissist. We've talked about it before, but every situation that arises is another chance to highlight yourself.
Yeah,
And that's what's going on.
ridiculous. Muhammad would be proud. The other Muhammad, the one that married the child. Well, I'm not sure about Mohammed Hijab though, in that case. But
Prove that he married a child. Prove what's the primary source other than all the primary sources. What about those? Has that been confirmed by the White House? No.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
the
saying
point of
to
an
you,
argument.
at the end, 1,300 people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm even. What led up to that? Why did he think that he's stuttering? I don't even get
You
it.
don't
I didn't even catch when he stuttered.
Brandon, what's happening?
It's the
here?
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why stuttering?
What?
What? There was no stutter. What's he even talking
What?
about?
Where is that coming from? Is he hallucinating or something? I don't get it.
When it's Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand,
it's
you don't
been-
know because you're friends.
No, it's been reported by legitimate news
When it's
sources.
Israel,
which
you
I
know they're
believe-
raped. But when
which
it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't know.
verified them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if they're raping.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why stuttering?
He didn't. He just he paused and he goes, "Why are you stuttering? What an idiot!"
He
man.
didn't
This is just
stutter a single
stupid.
time. Like, he's actually speaking coherent full sentences, and only repeating himself when he gets interrupted by Mohammed Hijab. And then he asks him, "Why are you stuttering? Where is the stuttering?"
Powerful
I don't
Dawa,
even
powerful
get
Dawa.
it.
It's funny because we want to make fun of him. At the end of the day, it's always I love this guy, man. I love this. This is awesome. So it's weird to have these double feeling like this is so stupid. Why am I watching this? This is incoherent, idiotic nonsense, but also like simultaneously, this is so awesome. This is so perfect. This is so great. Anyway.
This is so weird. Why are you stuttering, man?
Yeah, that's a point. It's the opposite of stuttering.
Yeah, he's
not-
quiet. He tries to make his point. Then eventually he's quiet, and then he says, "Why are you stuttering?" That's the opposite of what is happening, dude.
I'm not stuttering.
You are stuttering. You don't have
You're
anything to say.
contesting every single thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
and I'm
the
saying
point of
to
an
you,
argument.
at the end, 1,300 people
Yeah.
were brutally
2,000
murdered,
people have been killed on the other side.
abused.
2,000 people
200
have been killed on the
I
other
said
side.
that to the ambassador.
Okay, but do you condemn that? Yes or no?
I don't think.
So you refuse to condemn.
No.
You do refuse
Why
to
are you
condemn.
putting words in my mouth?
Because you're not condemning it, are you?
What do you want me to condemn?
Condemn.
Israel's
Okay,
right.
excellent. What do I want you to condemn?
Yes.
I want you to condemn the fact that the IDF, knowing that it's more probable than not, pressing buttons from the sky, killing innocent civilians,
Yeah.
1,000 of them children, that is a war crime and that is not acceptable morally. Just like
I
you condemn
believe-
the other one. Is it condemnable? or
I
not?
believe, given the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th,
Go ahead,
Israel is entitled
To
to
kill
defend-
children.
No, that's not what I said.
Go ahead.
They're entitled to defend.
Look at this. This is a typical tactic. So, in a war, right? One side, you could say, It shouldn't be done. You can't say I am against war. You can say I'm against killing. I'm against targeting civilians. I'm against people losing their lives. I'm against suffering. But you can at the same time, for example, think that if your population is attacked in a very brutal way and there is no other way of responding to it, it is justified to respond with violence. And unfortunately, in this situation, civilians die. They fall victim to this. They are in crossfire. This does not mean that you approve of the targeting and killing of children. If you say, I do not condemn the response, but just because you don't condemn the response, it doesn't mean you don't condemn the killing of children. That's not how it works.
Yeah, and we're not as familiar with war as previous generations and so on. But if you take World War II or something like that, you have situations where you have soldiers marching against each other and tanks going out against each other and so on. You also have situations where Germans are just dropping bombs on London.
Yeah.
And where the Allies are dropping bombs on Germans and so on. And guess what? If you're bombing German towns or you're bombing British towns or something like that, you're hitting civilians. So that's happening. And so, you basically have to condemn everyone in a war.
Yeah. This is just ridiculous, man.
Defend themselves with force.
Okay, excellent.
Then the question becomes, Mohammed, it's an interesting debate.
Sure.
If, as it seems to me, you believe too,
Go on.
Hamas are not a force.
This is, I think this is the spot, but this is the highlight here, in my opinion, because this is the most important point I think Piers is about to make, and I have been asking the same question from the very beginning. Yes, you guys complain about what Israel is doing. You guys complain about the civilian deaths, and yes, civilian deaths are terrible. Yes, it shouldn't be happening, but what exactly is the response? What exactly should be done, you think? Should Israel just send a strongly worded condemnation letter? What exactly do you think should be done? Let's see.
Force for good. Do you believe that?
Well, I think that anybody who kills children and those elements of Hamas who are killing children.
Right, so we can agree. So we agree. So my point is,
your point.
If Israel's purpose is to
He said only those elements of Hamas, not Hamas altogether.
rid the world of Hamas after the atrocity of October the 7th,
Sure.
How do they do that, given that Hamas embeds itself in civilian areas in the way that it does? Everyone knows that in Gaza.
Okay.
How do they do that
Excellent.
in the surgically clean way that you seem to think they should be doing?
Okay, can I say...
How do you not kill civilians?
Beautiful.
I don't like any civilian death.
Do you mind if I answer
I
the question?
don't endorse any civilian death.
Well, no.
Do
You don't condemn it, though.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, and here's why. Because I support Israel's right to defend itself.
Beautiful.
Now,
Can I say
no,
something?
one more point. So then
Go
you
ahead.
can reply.
Sure.
But the question then becomes...
It's funny how he acts like he controls the
Oh
show.
my
Okay, I'll
God.
let you finish your on your show.
Can you just let the guy talk for a second? Oh my
What is a proportionate response?
Okay.
I don't have the answer.
Excellent.
Because I don't know what a proportionate response to 13...
That's my position. It's like I don't know what the rule here. You know what's interesting, Abe? It's like a super complicated version of the trolley problem. You know what I mean? Like, okay, going, the track that things are on, Hamas is just going to keep coming up with better and better ways of going over and under fences to kill a bunch of random people. That's the way things are going. Or you can veer off in this other direction where you completely destroy them, but in the process, you're going to hit civilians as well, non-combatants as well. Which do you do? Do you stay on this track, or do you switch the track to do this other thing? And it's just difficult to decide exactly what is allowed in these situations.
Yeah, Piers Morgan just basically answered the question by saying he just said in the middle of this, Mohammed Hijab says, so you don't condemn it? And he said, no, here is why. And I also don't endorse it or don't condone it. So yeah, that's the position. You don't condemn it, you don't condone it. And here is then the issue. I am not for civilians dying. I'm not for people dying. But what exactly do you think should be done? How exactly do you think this situation should be handled? I predicted as soon as I heard this question that Mohammed will not answer the question. But that Mohammed Hijab will not answer the question. But I was really curious. Maybe he is going to offer a solution, because I see nobody ever actually answer the question. People say, yeah, they should do like surgical, targeted strikes. Yeah, you think it's that easy, man? It's not. It's not possible.
No, and everything is a calculation, right? Like if IDF soldiers march into Gaza and say, we want to be super careful and not hit any civilians, how's Hamas going to come at you? They're going to march out on the battlefield and face you? No, they're going to look exactly like the civilians.
Yes.
They're going to blend completely in with the civilians. They're going to have their hands up. I'm a civilian. I'm a civilian. I'm a civilian. So you walk by and they're going to blow your brains out.
We have footage of the day on the attack where people who attacked the fences took their own video. And they are civilians. This is the problem with Hamas. Hamas is not just clearly uniformed, personnel that act on the behalf of Hamas and attack. It's a mix of, armed, uniformed people and regular civilians who all attack together. So you can't, clearly discriminate between Hamas member and non-Hamas member. It's not possible. Plus, it is known, it is proven, everybody knows that Hamas uses civilian buildings, including hospitals, for their operations. And I really want to hear a solution. What should be done? How should Israel respond? Mohammed Hijab is not going to answer the question.
When 260 young people at a music festival, most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival, when they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know.
What in the... Did you hear that? He said, is there any evidence all of them were killed?
Did he say that?
What? Is that what he just said?
I don't know.
They get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns.
Is that what he just said?
Did he just say, is there any evidence that all of them were killed?
Are you kidding me, man? Is that what he just said?
Has the White House confirmed this? Where's your peer-reviewed academic journal article from the Society of Christian Philosophers on that?
This is the most insane thing I've heard in this interview so far.
Music festival. Most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival. When they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns.
What in the hell?
I think he said, is there any evidence that all of them were killed?
I didn't even get this the first time I watched this.
I didn't get it all because I wasn't paying that close attention.
But
I was just aware of the fact. I was waiting for them to stop bickering, which never happened.
Yes.
When 260 young people at a music festival, most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival, when they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know what the proportion.
Jeez. Wow, man. Wow.
Is there any evidence that all of them were killed? No, notice
there's no good faith
Piers didn't do that in return. Is there what's the proof that these kids were killed? What's the proof? Well, look, what about these pictures right? That hasn't been confirmed by the White House.
We have 260 bodies from the festival.
Where? Have you seen them all? Has the White House confirmed 260 bodies? Do they have those bodies at the White House?
No, they're not. They're not an authority. Do you have?
Where's the journal article? Where's the peer-reviewed accidemic journal article from Oxford?
There is no way. There's no way you can possibly.
So you got nothing. Why are you stuttering? Huh? AP? You know how easy that is to do.
Yeah, there is no way that you can possibly reason with this guy. There is no good faith discussion possible. I mean, just after seeing this, it is absolutely impossible to ever have an actual discussion with this guy in a reasonable way and to hope for a good outcome. This guy just asked, is there evidence that all of them were killed? How does it matter? How does it matter? What kind of a dumb standard is that?
Again, that's why I said it reminds me of like Alex Jones or something like that with people may like Alex Jones for certain things, and I watched a clip from him once. I thought he was hilarious, and I understood why people watch him. But on the things back in the day of like school shootings and stuff, where it was fun for people to just say it's all a hoax. That's what you do. Prove it to me. And notice what can you do to prove it to someone who thinks it's all a hoax? You bring the parents out and they say, no, our kid was shot. They say, well, you're an actor. Where's the pictures? Suppose these parents did say, okay, here's the pictures of my dead kids. Prove that's not fake. Prove that's not a fake picture. Prove you didn't put some fake blood on that kid and sit him down. He's an actor too. Prove it, right? Notice it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to just say, prove it, and then to not accept any evidence. Right?
But what's funny is he also repeats the numbers of dead that come out of Gaza, which are relayed to us by Hamas.
That's what I mean. Piers could be jumping on every single thing Mohammed Hijab says. Prove that. Prove that. What's that source? Oh, why do you believe that? Why don't you believe this other one? Where's the academic? Where's the peer-reviewed journal?
We have multiple, sources, corroborating sources that tell us about the number of dead bodies retrieved from the festival. He disregards that. But he takes statements from Hamas, which are like, so many people were killed in this bombing, as a fact immediately. He doesn't apply the same standards. This guy is completely, purely dishonest. That's it. This is clear proof. I mean, this guy is purely dishonest.
I love this guy.
Okay, similar response.
So can you tell me?
You've spoken for about 2 minutes. You didn't do that with the ambassador, by the way. I'm just showing you're saying fair. But you're not being fair.
I've said
okay,
so
let me just.
Hey, so you approach the ambassador one way, but me, as soon as I start bickering about every single thing you say, you treat me differently.
Yeah, this is just wow, man. I'm loving this, honestly.
I'm totally loving it. It's like again, I still have the mixed feelings of this is so stupid, but this is so awesome.
Honestly, if there was a Muslim apologist who went there on this show and argued in the most fantastic way, and gave people an amazing impression, I would be worried. But when somebody like this guy goes there and presents himself in this so unlikable way, makes such idiotic arguments, I think he should go again. He should be there every weekend.
I would give this dude his own show. All day, every day. Mohammed Hijab TV.
This is why I shared it. Like, people are like, "Oh, you see, now you are hurt because he was on Piers Morgan." What are you talking about? I shared it on my own YouTube channel. I posted the link without even saying anything about it.
Sure.
I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say.
Right, excellent. You're from Irish descent. We know that there was an IRA in Belfast and so on.
What about this? What about this?
IRA in Belfast. And they were occupying council properties and so on. And then we have a plane of RAF going to destroy that council property, destroy all of Belfast, flatten it, as one representative said, got live. The IDF said that. One of the IDF members said that we will flatten it completely. That's what we want to do. We don't care about accuracy, he said. We care about damage. That's what he said. You didn't question her about that. But anyway, if the RAF were to then go into Belfast and flatten, as the IDF and these guys want to do, if they want to flatten Belfast with all the white people, I'm going to say,
right. How long was it going to take for him to pull the race card? White people.
You see how he didn't actually answer the question. He's now trying to draw a comparison to make it again about, do you think this is really justified, instead of answering the actual question. Okay, we know, we got it. We get the point. You think this? You think the response is horrible. We get the point. What do you think is the solution? What do you think is the alternative, the perfect response? That is the question. And he avoids it. He doesn't answer it because he doesn't know the answer. It's all just about complaining to him. So he goes again to the stage of complaining. He goes back there. He wants to go back and make a comparison to the IRA, to then complain about that, compare it to that. The solution, he will never be presented. He knows what he's doing.
All the white people, council estates living in there, with the excuse that we're doing it because it's proportionate.
Look, he just stuttered. He just stuttered.
Why you stuttering? No, notice it. Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering, Mohammed? Huh?
Why are you stuttering?
Why are you stuttering? Getting nervous? Little hard under the cover?
This shows that you're wrong.
You see?
Defense to
Mohammed's a false prophet.
What would you say about that?
Here's what I would say to you.
Is that acceptable or unacceptable?
Here's what I would say to you.
Yeah.
The IRA committed a series of atrocities.
This is a very bad response from Piers Morgan, in my opinion. He fell into the trap of being, distracted and going to this counter question that is completely irrelevant. They already talked about this. You should have stuck to the question.
Over numerous decades. They targeted, in their eyes, military and political targets. They usually gave some form of warning, not always.
Okay.
They
were terrorists.
No, they were terrorists.
Sure.
They never, ever went out one day and committed the barbaric slaughter of 1,300.
Irrelevant.
No.
If they did.
I'm sorry, it's not irrelevant.
If they did.
No, Mohammed.
They did.
Here's why it's not irrelevant.
Okay.
They never did.
But if they did,
Would
you accept
by the
the
way,
RAF to fly
by the
down
way,
Belfast?
there were outrages committed by
My question is,
by
if,
the loyalist parliamentaries too.
So the guy makes changes the topic by answering a question with a new question, and then he insists that his opponent answers the question that he just asked. This is so ridiculous. So Piers asks a very critical question. Mohammed Hijab dodges the question and asks a counter question, and then acts like he's now winning because Piers refuses to answer his counter question. That's not how it works, bro. I mean, you could call this maybe an effective form of deceptively debating to avoid, to humiliate, to come out on top, to avoid being, being refuted or whatever it is. But this is certainly not looking good when it comes to finding the truth. Nah.
Yeah, it's more. It seems like more whataboutism.
Yeah.
They never came,
would you think it's acceptable?
They never came close to committing an outrage on that scale.
If
right?
they did, is it acceptable?
They never went in and kidnapped grandmothers.
I can't believe Piers actually fell for that.
Killed babies in cribs.
Is it acceptable or not?
They believe they were fighting for better or worse, and I believe for worse, and that's why I'm glad peace was found. They believe they were fighting political and military targets.
I'm trying to bring it closer to home to you.
You're trying to compare apples and oranges.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's you that's doing that.
The only comparison that I would say we saw from October the 7th and what Hamas did is with ISIS.
Excuse me.
It's the only comparison.
Do you mind if I...
Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering, Hijab? Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering?
Let me ask you a question. A Palestinian...
And ISIS were taken out, by the way, with claims... No, here's what...
You didn't do this with the ambassador.
I'm going to...
You didn't do this. You didn't treat an ambassador like you treat me.
Yeah, why don't you treat me with respect? I am Mohammed Hijab.
You have to treat me like an ambassador, an academic, an ambassador of Oxford.
So the question has never been answered, and I'm just curious. Mohammed Hijab, we get it. You don't like the response. We get it. It's horrible that people are dying. Yes, we get it. Yes. We got it. We got it by now. But what is the solution? What do you think should be done to take out Hamas? Of course, Mohammed Hijab doesn't believe that Hamas should be taken out. That's the first problem here. He only condemns elements within Hamas, as he just said. He doesn't actually. It would be very bad for him if Israel actually took out Hamas. He doesn't want that to happen. But that aside, if Israel were to only target Hamas, how exactly would Israel go and take Hamas out without civilian deaths? He will never answer the question. I don't know. Maybe he will realize that he didn't answer it.
It only works in some sort of fantasy world.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's one thing if the opposing group marches out their soldiers on a battlefield. That's not what's happening. That's not what Hamas is going to do. They're going to not let the civilian population leave, and they're going to blend in with the civilian population. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The point is they make it so that it's impossible to avoid the civilian casualties.
Of course, I'm sincere. Of course, I believe that Mohammed Hijab sincerely, forgot to answer the question. So he will probably look back at this and say, "Oh, I forgot to answer his question." So he will make a video in which he will
I was thinking about golden showers. I was thinking about golden showers. I missed it.
This is Ben Shapiro, which you gave the show to him.
No, hang on. I'm giving you plenty of time.
No, you're not.
I'm giving you plenty. You asked about the analogy of a plane flying over and targeting.
But you didn't answer my question.
But that did happen, Mohammed, with ISIS.
Would you accept Belfast to be flattened
wait a minute.
or not? Yes or no?
Wait a minute. It never happened. So the like for like isn't
relevant. It's a hypothesis. It's hypothetical.
It's not. I don't do hypotheticals.
You don't do hypotheticals?
No, let's deal with reality.
Okay, let's deal with reality.
Mohammed, let me finish.
Reality you never responded to, Mohammed Hijab. Dark Brandon says Mohammed Hijab normally seems more reasonable than other Dawa and Daniel Kikichu, mainly because he lies about Islam to make it sound more palatable. Yeah, but I think
he does. There are all sorts of lies, like even in here. I mean, notice. I mean, everything he's saying. I'm thinking about how he has condemned Muhammad. I mean, this don't do something where civilians. I mean, we've mentioned before, but we will in some future installment actually go through the sources on how on how these guys are attacking Muhammad. But during the night raids, right, where they're just going around robbing people, strong arming people, they came to Muhammad. They said, "What?" Said, "Hey, we're killing women and children during the night raids." Now they weren't targeting them. They're just, "Hey, you're storming people's village and houses and stuff like that, slaughtering people." They came to Muhammad and said, "Hey, we're killing women and children during the night raids," and he says they're from them. Now notice. You're acknowledging that you're engaging in it, and this isn't hey, we have our army marching against theirs and some civilian casualty. They're robbing people. They're doing robberies. They're doing robberies and saying, "Hey, Muhammad, we keep killing women and children in our robberies. Don't worry about it. They're pagans."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, how many times has Mohammed Hijab inadvertently just condemned his own prophet in all of this?
He would never do that. He would never do that.
Yes, he did. I have the proof.
He would never do that.
Proof? Where's the academic journal article that says I condemn my own prophet?
By the way, news say IDF confirms, we have confirmed in all of our chain of commands stand behind it that this was not an IDF strike. It was a misfired rocket by the Islamic Jihad that landed and probably caused that explosion. Of course, it's only a statement which we can, but they said further, IDF is going to release more evidence to prove that Israel was not responsible for the Gaza hospital explosion.
How do we know it's not CGI? Could be CGI. They control the studios. Jews control the studios. They can make anything happen.
To make us clear, I'm not taking anyone's word for a fact here. We're waiting for evidence on all of this. So far, all the evidence shows that this is a rocket fired from inside Gaza.
Prove to me that IDF didn't infiltrate Gaza to launch the missile against themselves and then have it self-destruct right over a hospital. Prove that. You can't prove it, can you?
You can't.
What's your source? What's your source denying that?
Therefore, it was probably them. But the evidence all points at the rocket explosion, but we don't know anymore at the moment. So, yeah, let's see.
You can ask.
You don't ask a question.
No, here's the reality.
British public can see this.
Here's the reality, right? Let's
British
just.
public can see this.
Yeah, they can see it.
Yeah, go on.
They listen to the debate.
Keep going.
Right? For
What
what it's worth.
What a jerk, man. What a jerk.
Yeah, they can. Reality.
Okay, let's deal with reality.
Ahmed, let me finish. Then you can ask.
You don't ask a question.
No, here's the reality.
British public can see this.
Here's the reality, right? Let's
British
just.
public can see this.
Yeah,
What a jerk. He says British public can see this, and then he repeats it again one more time. You don't have to say what the British public can see. The British public will see and decide. And so far, the public, especially the non-Muslim public, isn't really looking at this in your favor, Mohammed Hijab. This is just such an arrogant thing to do. Dishonest.
They can see it.
Yeah, go on.
They listen to the debate.
Keep going.
Right? For what it's worth, I think it's a good debate to have. Right? These are questions many people on the pro-Palestinian side are having. I get it. Right? But you're trying to compare what happened on October the 7th with the IRA.
No, I'm not. I used the hypothetical.
Wait a minute, Mum.
Question.
You said why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering, Hijab?
ISIS. And the way that the world in the end dealt with ISIS actually was to use airstrikes. And many civilians were killed.
There's a huge difference.
Many innocent people died.
They're not. You don't understand it because you have no idea of the religious.
What's the difference between what happened on October the 7th and ISIS?
Oh boy, this is so painful. The whole condescending attitude the entire time. It's just the attitude of a high school wannabe high school bully. It's just so weird. I don't know.
You're finished already. Look at me. You know you're done.
Yeah.
The difference between the Palestinian resistance is the following. Okay, any kind of thing which has Palestinian resistance attached to it, and ISIS, which is a brand of tekfirism. Okay, is that ISIS is just one of many brands of tekfirism, which you don't know what it is.
Completely irrelevant to the discussion at hand. Completely irrelevant. Nothing at all to do with the point here. He's just trying to make himself look knowledgeable.
Which is a kind of excommunication type heresiological Islamic sect. Okay, so if there's
it's nihilistic mass murder. That's all they care about.
Listen, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying something else.
You agree with me, don't you?
I do, but of course I do, but you're not understanding what I'm saying, so I'm trying to break it down.
I am understanding what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that anything...
And I'm not anti-Palestinian, by the way.
Sure, please, but...
Over the many years, if you bothered to check what I said about it, I've always tried to shine a light on the plight of the Palestinians.
Allow me to speak, please, because you're just talking over me. The difference
the irony. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. The irony here.
The two are the following, right? Even if we assume that the killing of combatants in most definitions of terrorism is something which brings someone to be a terrorist, okay? I would say that if that is the case, then the state of Israel breaks that threshold and meets that condition. Because why is Israel not a state terrorist? If their highest officials are admitting that we want to damage and we want damage and not accuracy. Why? Answer me this question. Why is the state of Israel, who are illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank according to international law, and even...
By the way, Israel is not technically occupying Gaza. Israel has a blockade on Gaza, which you could also describe as a form of occupation, which, however, is only in place because, and yes, you should probably ask that question, because Gaza is ruled by Hamas, which made it clear that they do not want to make peace. Yes. It might not change the fact that this is still a blockade. It might not change the fact that this is still an occupation of sorts. But the whole reason for that is that Hamas made it very clear that that they will not recognize Israel, that they will not disavow violence against Israel, and that they will not continue or recognize any peace process. So there you have it. That's why.
And the ICJ said that, okay, which is, as you know, an organ of the UN. All right, so this is international law. They're occupying, they're seizing, they're bombarding, they're indiscriminately killing, and they're blocking the supply lines. They're using white phosphorus. They're doing what you call mowing the grass, which is every couple of years, every few years, they're killing the Palestinian people.
Let me.
Look, he's completely appealing to the two emotions now, and it's not even addressing the actual point. And when we go and have discussions and talk about the atrocities that they advocate for, if we did exactly what he does right now, he would say, "Oh, look at him crying. Look, do you remember how they reacted to Brother Rashid when he went on, on Patrick Bet-David's show and talked about how the Islamists want him killed because he's an apostate?"
Or how Daniel Hakikachu reacted when girls were crying because they can't go to school anymore in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Oh, little cry baby, gonna cry, little baby.
Yeah. They react immediately with, "Oh, it's just emotional. Look at these emotional arguments. There are no arguments. They're just emotional. They're crying. Look at that. Ha, ha, ha." And here is he just doing exactly this. Engage with the actual point. Everybody knows you are upset. Everybody knows you think this shouldn't be happening. Everybody got that point. Everybody knows by now. I'm sure there is not a single person in the world who's watching this. Okay, I can't say it, not a single, but everybody watching this knows that you are upset with the fact that civilians are dying and that you don't like Israel. Okay, what is the solution? That was the entire point, but he still goes back to ranting about exactly that, which we all already know. Thank you.
I want to understand what differentiates an Israeli in the sky pressing a button, killing the civilians, from somebody in any terrorist organization shooting the people.
Because
what differentiates it?
Israel will say it has a right to defend itself.
So will the terrorists? Right? That's what Osama bin Laden said.
And they will.
That's exactly Osama bin Laden's argument.
No, it's not though.
Yes,
Hamas.
it is.
Look at the stupid comparison. That's what Osama bin Laden said. That he's just defending himself. That they're just defending themselves. Defending themselves by attacking America. They're just defending themselves. And in that way, Israel is defending themselves. Do I have to explain what an idiotic comparison this is? Or I think everybody gets it, I guess. I don't know, maybe his fans don't get it, but I just don't really want to sit down and explain that. Because it sounds ridiculous to me to sit down and actually try to explain it.
I read his fatwas.
Hamas aren't defending themselves. Bin Laden wasn't defending himself.
Define defense.
Bin Laden was trying to kill as many of the enemy as possible.
What's the Merriam-Webster's dictionary version of defense?
An occupier is defending itself in the first place. The notion that Israel is defending itself is as absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending itself from the victim. Because Israel is the occupier.
You haven't
So,
asked
hold
me.
on, hold on.
Yeah, but
Excuse me, let me finish. Just let me finish. An occupier by international law definition.
He has not even addressed in any way how this problem should be solved. Now, there are some people who really say, I saw some people say stuff like, Mohammed Hijab actually made some good points. Answer his questions, answer his points, answer his challenges, and this and that. So far, I'm watching it. I see nothing of value, nothing proper, nothing except ranting about stuff that we have all heard so far. This is the only point so far that he actually brings up that you could possibly deal with for a second. But even then, he's just regurgitating what we have heard so many times before. Israel is illegally occupying the Palestinian lands. What exactly does that mean? Did this attack happen because Israel is illegally occupying the Gaza? No, it didn't. It didn't. Hamas did not attack Israel because Israel is blockading Gaza. That's not the point. That's not why this happened. It is very clearly expressed in the fundamental declarations, in the covenant of Hamas, in the declarations over the decades of Hamas, that Hamas believes in eradicating Israel and eradicating any kind of Zionist presence in the entirety of Palestine, which they define as from the river to the sea and the northern borders to the south. So all of Palestine, all of it that you see, everything that is right now Israel, to them is illegal and unacceptable, and is unacceptable to Islam. And Hamas aims to get rid of all of it and to kill all the Jews. And you then come here and try to argue that this happened because of Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories. The entire blockade is in place just because Hamas did never get rid of this idea. I'm sorry, it is completely false. You cannot come here and argue that this is happening because of an occupation.
And I mean, by the way, if you didn't have groups like Hamas that continued launching terrorist attacks, you'd have your own countries. You'd have your own countries. In fact, if Hamas wouldn't have just done this terrorist attack, you probably would have had your own country in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. Because now we're good with Saudi Arabia and so on. And hey, everyone's going to be getting along and so on. Nope, can't allow it. We're going to go slaughter a bunch of people. Oh, it's because they're occupiers.
David Jones said, and why can't Piers Morgan tell him that to his face? I'm not sure. Maybe he doesn't exactly understand the issue. Maybe he didn't think of it. I don't know. But I said the same thing. But this is the point. Hamas does not believe in a two-state solution. Hamas does not believe in making peace. Hamas does not believe in any of it. Israel is not occupying Palestinian land in Gaza. Israel is out of there. They only have a blockade in place, which they only put in place because of the Hamas ideal to never recognize Israel and to fight Israel and to kill the Zionists. That's it. That's the issue. There is no occupation in Gaza. Show me where the occupation is. Point at me. Say there is an occupation right here in that place. Israel is occupying this part of Gaza. There is no such thing. Israel disengaged and left Gaza in 2005, the year 2005. That's it. They left. There is no occupation. Any occupation you're talking about might be over there in the West Bank where Hamas is not in charge. There is no occupation in place in Gaza. There is a blockade. Some say, oh, but you think a blockade is a good thing. No, it's not a good thing, you dumb idiot. It's not a good thing. It is there in place because Hamas will not make peace. This is it.
And because and the idea behind a blockade is that there are people who want to turn Hamas into like ISIS, in the sense of there are people around the world who want to go there and bring weapons and go on a killing spree.
Yeah.
And so you say, no, you're not coming in. You're not coming in there on your boatload of jihadis. Not happening.
Yep. Come here and tell me that this is wrong. Come here and prove me wrong, please. Anybody, tell me. Type it in the comments.
Hijab's about to prove me wrong somehow.
I will put you on the show if you can actually make a coherent argument here and tell me that is completely wrong.
Means that they are already in an offensive posture.
No, they're
If they're
not.
in an offensive posture, if someone brings you to Piers Morgan, grabs you by the thing, throws you into your bathroom, yeah? You're in your bathroom, you're screaming, and they're eating food, having a good time. One day you come out of your bathroom, you try and fight one of them, who's defending who from who?
Mohammed,
What in the hell are you talking about?
Who is self-defense?
He's still making it sound like, hey, these poor Palestinians, they just keep trying to mind their own business, and big bully Israel just keeps up coming and roughing them up, and they're just trying to defend themselves, and we're hiding in the bathroom, but hey, can we come out of the bathroom now? No, shut up. And not, oh, you guys keep blowing up buildings, blowing up buses, and so on, to where we can't just let you come up in here anymore. Oh, you see, you've got them hiding in the bathroom and they're being raped.
You know what is happening here, in my opinion. I think I'm pretty confident on this actually, that Mohammed Hijab is just babbling and saying these nonsensical things because to him, the existence of Israel altogether is an occupation. He agrees with Hamas there. To him, Israel should just not exist. Israel should remove itself, and that's his entire point. He just doesn't want to say it like that. Otherwise, his entire point here is completely incoherent. It doesn't make any sense. And he hasn't answered any solid argument here.
How can you self-defend when you're occupying? Answer me this question.
Let me speak now.
No, but answer the question.
Let me speak.
Answer the question first.
Fine, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
I'll
give you permission. I give you permission to speak on your show.
A bad choice.
That's not answering my question.
Wait, I'm telling you what I think.
You don't answer my question.
Telling you what I think.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I don't think Israel's been perfect at all. Right?
You should have had the moral high ground.
I think a lot of the decisions Israel's taken are wrong. I think Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, his attempts to usurp the power of the Supreme Court this year in Israel has been a complete disaster.
Do you condemn them from killing civilians or not?
I do not. I will defend them this week.
Yes or no?
Wait.
Yes or no?
I will defend them.
Man. What an idiot. Good job, Mojab. Continue.
This week in defending themselves against one of the worst terror attacks ever.
So you can kill civilians for that?
You can target Hamas.
Can you target? No, hold on.
And if Hamas, the controlling, governing, ruling body in Gaza, hide amongst the public,
this is a false.
Members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Motte and Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another. It's Motte and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up on your own time. The point is this.
Hang on. Hold on. Trying to defend one controversial. That's not the Motte and Bailey. Rewind that. What's he calling the Motte and Bailey fallacy?
But
hide amongst the public.
This is a false.
Members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Motte and Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another.
That's not the Motte and Bailey fallacy.
What is it?
What is the Motte and Bailey fallacy, or what is he talking about? What do you mean?
Yeah, so what is the actual fallacy? So
hold on. I can actually see him calling this a Motte and Bailey fallacy. He just didn't define it correctly at all. It's not, the Motte and Bailey fallacy is not defending a controversial idea with another controversial idea. A motte is like, I forget exactly what it is. It's old language, but a motte is like a castle or like a little tower or fortress or something like that. And the idea is that you have the land around this, but then you have your little fortress in the middle. And the idea is if someone attacks you on this big territory you have, you can retreat to the tower and then defend that. The tower is the motte and the Bailey is the surrounding territory. It's something along those lines. But the Motte and Bailey fallacy is when you have a position and you're making an argument for a position, someone attacks your position, and then you retreat to a more acceptable position that's easier to defend. So, I mean, Muslims, by the way, this is standard Dawa. So it's always easier to understand fallacies with an example. So, and then I will explain how he could actually argue that Pierce and others are committing the Motte and Bailey fallacy. So this, it's kind of similar to equivocation. So equivocation is where you change the meaning of a word. And when you have so if I were talking to a Muslim and he made an argument for Islam, and he says, because you have to submit to Muhammad, and you have to believe in Muhammad, and you have to obey these five. You have to do these 5 pillars, and you have to follow these 6 articles of faith, and look at my scientific argument miracle, and my scientific miracles argument, and the perfect preservation argument. You argue all this, and I attack your position. That's like storming the Bailey and saying, "Hey, I'm attacking your position," and then you instead say, "What do you mean? Islam just means submission to God, submitting to God." David, don't you believe in submitting to God? I say, yes, I believe in submitting to God. No, so you retreat to a little tower and you act like you're defending the same thing when you're not. You had this big position that you were pretending to defend. As soon as I attacked it, you retreated and then said, "Hey, I'm just holding that." No, it's just this. No, it's not that. It was this. Then you retreated to that. So here's how he could actually say that this is a Motte and Bailey fallacy. You could say, here's what you could say. You say, "Hey, I ask you, is it wrong to drop bombs on targets where you're going to kill non-combatants, you're going to kill women and children? Is that what you're saying?" And you say, "Well, I'm just saying Israel has a right to defend itself. Countries have a right to defend themselves." Wait, that's not the issue. The issue, you just say that because that's easy to defend. It's easy to defend the concept of self-defense. I'm not asking you to defend you're not simply defending the concept of self-defense. I'm saying, is it right to drop bombs on when you're going to kill a bunch of civilians? That's what I'm asking you. Defend that. So in that sense, yes, you could say if someone's only defense of dropping bombs on targets where you're killing a bunch of civilians, if their only defense is, well, people have a right to defend themselves, that would be the Motte and Bailey fallacy. So the question is Pierce's claim actually more sophisticated than that? And I would say it is. But if someone is just saying, like, I will defend any behavior, killing anyone in any situation by just saying, "Hey, people have a right to defend themselves," that would be an example of the Motte and Bailey fallacy, even though he didn't define it correctly. So I hope that clarifies things for you.
So I want to kind of make it simple because I think it's actually beautiful when you think about it. From an Islamist point of view, I say, for example, we should make it legal to marry little children, as Daniel Kikichu says, in order to increase their fertility rates. And then you're like, "What? What are you talking about? Are you crazy? Are you insane?" And I'm like, "What are you? Do you really think we shouldn't increase fertility rates? What's wrong with you?"
That's the Motte and Bailey fallacy. Correct. That is exactly it. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's good. That's nice. I wasn't aware of it, actually.
Well, I think it's recent. I mean, people could have always committed the fallacy, but I think that's something like that got its own name and classification like during our lifetimes. So I think it's fairly recent.
Nice.
Up in your own time. The point is this. I'm not asking you whether Israel has a right to defend itself. We've already said of the logical and legal impossibility. The logical and legal impossibility of an occupying power, according to international law, of actually...
I just love the way he does this. This is so ridiculous. When he loses his breath, he just wants to keep going and hammering. Wait a minute.
It's Motte and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up on your own time. Excuse me. You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Motte and Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another. It's Motte and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up on your own time. The point is this. I'm not asking you whether...
Yeah, okay. His definition of it is not really accurate. I see what you mean.
Whether Israel has a right to defend itself. We've already said of the logical and legal impossibility. The logical and legal impossibility of an occupying power, according to international law, of actually defending itself, because it's already... Let me finish. It's already in an offensive posture. Now, I'm saying this. If it is the case, you're just saying it's defending itself against Hamas. Is the only way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the most densely populated area, one of the most densely populated areas in the world? Is that the only way? It's a false dichotomy, creating a...
Okay, so as far as I gather it, it actually makes sense that he calls that the Motte and Bailey fallacy. He just divided.
Yeah, he didn't explain it correctly, but
he explained it incorrectly.
You can apply that. You can say that you can apply the fallacy in this situation. So what would be needed from Piers Morgan, and I mean, I think he's kind of doing it. He's saying, okay, it's of course everyone agrees, although I'm not sure Mohammed Hijab actually does, that Israel has a right to defend itself, because he's saying the idea is absurd because they're occupiers. But even if we grant that Israel has a right to defend itself, does that mean that you can just do anything and say, well, we're defending ourselves? No, you have a bigger position that you actually need to defend. But I mean, he kind of did that. His position is it's a rough situation. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do when you've got a bunch of guys running over killing people, and then they run and hide in the population. It's not exactly clear on what to do. And so it's difficult to condemn, because I can't say there is a morally superior alternative to that. What is the morally superior alternative to that? Yes, you can hypothetically say, oh, some surgical operation where you only kill the terrorists and so on. It's like, yeah, that you can say that. Actually doing that might not work, and I don't think it would.
That is the point, though, right? That this is the issue. My entire problem with all of this, with this entire conflict and people's complaints about it, is precisely this. There was a highlight that I pointed at earlier in the conversation where Piers Morgan asked him the important question: what do you think should be done? What is the accurate response? What is the right response? What should Israel do in response to this being done to their own civilians? We get it. You are upset. Okay, killing people is bad. You don't like it. Yes, okay, we get it. We understand that. But what exactly should be done? And of course, the question was never answered. We got back to, this is bad. This is like earlier, that UN chief declaration that the deaths are unacceptable. Well, thank you. Thanks for telling us. We know that. We get the point. What's the solution?
They could do surgery. They can do. They can
Mohammed,
go in and they can target.
We're going to take
Hamas.
a short break. I'm going to keep you here. I want to finish this. I want to give you the time. I think it's an important debate, an important conversation.
But you have to answer my question.
That's like Muhammad and his followers during the night raids could have been surgical in their operations and not killed women and children, but Muhammad just didn't care.
Yeah, he wants to make this about his own religion. We know that the Prophet Muhammad said that the children who die during the night raids, they're just of the enemy. Doesn't matter. That's what Muhammad said according to the hadiths. Yeah.
But actually, you have to answer mine. It's my show. Actually,
burn. I like that.
Yeah, but actually, you have to answer mine. It's my show. Actually,
I can answer
for the record. You can answer the questions you want.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what I think.
I like that Breaking Bad. No, actually, you're going to do what I want. You're on my show, and you're going to keep your mouth shut when I tell you to, and you're going to answer my questions. Or I'm gonna have security bang you up in here. Huh?
Well, it's finally he tells him, like, he's taking this whole condescending this attempt at dominating the conversation from Mohammed Hijab, and finally he says, actually, it's my show. He's being way too kind.
They could do surgery. They can do. They can do.
This guy actually believes that Israel could just go in there, do a surgical response operation, just dive in there, take out all the Hamas.
It doesn't work. What's the difference between a Hamas combatant dressed like a civilian and an actual civilian non-combatant? What's the difference? They look exactly. You can't tell the difference.
You think Israel didn't try that?
No.
You think it wasn't tried? I mean, he doesn't actually believe that it's possible. He's just trying to make it look like that is an alternative. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows that this is not possible.
There are surgical operations. There was that time where what was it? Somewhere in Africa or something like that. They took a bunch of Jewish captives and so on at an airport, and like Israel sent in a team, landed a plane in the dark, so they didn't realize it, and have all these special force commandos jump out and go and rescue everyone. That's surgical. You can't do that when you have your terrorists hiding amongst millions of people.
They can go in and they can target.
We're going to take a short break. I'm going to keep you here. I want to finish this. I want to give you the time. I think it's an important debate, an important conversation.
Sure. But you have to answer my questions.
I will.
I don't have to do anything.
Actually, you have to answer mine.
Thank you. Isn't that funny? You have to answer my questions. I'm Mohammed Hijab. Like, what sort of fantasy land do you live in, dude?
Quick question.
You have to.
I'll
It's
tell you.
required.
I've answered all your
We're going
questions.
to take
by
a
the
short
way.
break.
I've answered all
We're
your
going to come
questions.
back and we're going to
No, he actually didn't.
finish with a few more minutes, okay? Welcome back to Piers Morgan says, well, Mohammed Hijab is still with me. Mohammed, we've had a lively debate. I knew it would be a lively debate. This is a very
We all did.
important issue. It's a passionate issue. People on both sides. If I tweet about anything, doesn't matter what I say. One side, if I'm even remotely sympathetic to them, the other side, poor abuse and vice versa and so on. Let's try and cut through it all and get to what happens here. How do we find peace in the Middle East? I've been covering Israel-Palestine since I've been a journalist, 3 decades. And it seems to me we're as far away now as we've ever been. How do you think we get
You'll
to
be
a place of
surprised.
peace?
Look, even Hamas, some 4 or 5 years ago, they even agreed to the 1967 lines, the borders.
That's not true. That's not true. I know that for a fact. What he is trying to say is that Hamas proposed that they could accept. So that was in 2017. In 2017, Hamas published a new charter where they said that their initial goal is to restore at least the 1967 borders. But they didn't say that they want to accept like a perpetual peace state once they reach the 1967 borders. What they did say is that that this is, an initial step. That this is an initial step, but then, of course, their goal eventually is to then, build themselves up and eventually to get rid of the entire Zionist entity. That was always the goal. This is in their charter as well, the very same charter where they say, so these guys are so ridiculous, so ludicrous, that they don't even make it a secret to say, we're just going to aim for 1967. We're good with that. They publicly say, we only initially want to aim for 1967 so that we can finally take all of it in the future. That is their stated goal.
Yeah, and you have the people who in our lifetime started saying, "Oh, let's go back to the 1967 borders." They know Israel's not doing that. There were certain spots that were completely indefensible given the 1967 borders, and so there are people who are suggesting it, knowing it's going to be rejected, just so they can kind of look like they were calling for peace. But you have different groups, and some of them would actually like to go back to 1967 borders and have a two states, have a two-state solution. But with Hamas, it's just a ploy, right? It's hey, we want a temporary agreement to have a better base for launching terrorist attacks against you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, with Hamas, it's nothing you can't take seriously. They're still committed to wiping you out of existence. It's just any sort of agreement would be a temporary stepping stone if they say, hey, we're willing to have some sort of agreement.
So here is the 2017 charter as posted on Middle East Eye. You have the position toward occupation and political solutions. When you come to number 20 here, it says, is this big enough on the screen? I hope it is. Hamas believes that no part of the land of Palestine shall be compromised or conceded, irrespective of the causes, the circumstances, and the pressures, and no matter how long the occupation lasts. Hamas rejects any alternative to the full and complete liberation of Palestine from the river to the sea, which means all of the land, the entirety of it, including the current Israel and Palestine. However, without compromising its rejection of the Zionist entity and without relinquishing any Palestinian rights, Hamas considers the establishment of a fully sovereign and independent Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital along the lines of the 4th of June 1967, with the return of the refugees and the displaced to their homes from which they were expelled, to be a formula of national consensus. So they are accepting a possible 1967 restoration, but they still, under no circumstances,
It's temporary.
let go of the aim of taking all of it eventually. So this is the truth. They don't fully accept a two-state solution. Plain and simple.
And just so everyone knows, there's no way Israel's going back to the 1960s. They've learned what positions are especially vulnerable, and so there has to be modifications to the 1967. So anyone who's saying, "Oh, we should go back to the 1967," you know they're not going to go for that. But even though you have groups that you could work with and potentially have two states, that is not what Hamas is aiming towards. They're aiming towards it's similar with Muhammad. Everything is temporary until we're strong enough to wipe you out.
Yeah.
And what you have to understand, that this cannot be scapegoated on Hamas, because before Hamas's existence, this was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
No, I believe in. Look, even Hamas was proposing it.
What are you talking about?
What? No. Wait, what?
Wait a minute.
You say,
But do you believe in it?
Look, there's advantages and disadvantages. This is a different. I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one. I'll be honest.
Could you imagine?
It's not a very difficult one. Just
That's
answer the
rough. Yeah. Do you? Yes. No. Notice that's where Piers should be going. Yes or no. Yes or no. Do you agree or not?
Answer the question. You pressed the other side so much. Answer the
But
question.
notice if he says no, he's obviously, if he's saying, well, I don't know about, I don't know if I can support a two-state solution. What's he actually saying there? He's not denying that the Palestinians should have a state. He's denying that he's going to agree that Israel should be able to exist. I can't affirm that. I can't say that Israel should be able to exist. I can't affirm that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say here. It's wild.
It's just so disingenuous, and this just reveals the entire reason why he is arguing the way that he does, because he doesn't even believe in Israel's right to exist, and his best response to this is, I don't know, I'm not sure. Really, man? Why would we have a discussion with you if you consider every single Zionist existence as an occupation? Then this is not about, it's not about actual occupation. It's not about what Israel actually does. It is simply about the existence of Jews in the region, of an Israeli entity in the region altogether. Then we can't have a good faith conversation with you. It is simply impossible.
To the 1967 lines, the borders. And what you have to understand, that this cannot be scapegoated on Hamas, because before Hamas's existence, this was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
There were still Muslims there, yes, Mohammed. there were other Muslim groups there, yes.
Look,
we are aware.
Hamas was proposing it.
Yes, Hamas didn't invent Islamic Jew hatred. We understand, Mohammed.
Yeah.
Look, there's advantages and disadvantages. This is a different. I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one.
Could you imagine two states next to each other living in peace? Palestine, Israel.
Look, it's a possibility. I mean, as I say, even Hamas was saying that that's a possibility. I mean, this was 4 years ago. But what I want to bring to your attention is,
I just showed to you that Hamas only presented it as a temporary solution.
Yeah.
Because Hamas eventually believes in the eradication of Zionists.
Even Hamas agreed that there could be a temporary two-state solution while one state arms itself and eventually wipes the other out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see? It's Islamic past a temporary peace.
that nothing can happen if the international body or the UN becomes a toothless agency. In 2018 to 19, when actually 221 people were killed on a peaceful protest in Gaza. It was called the Great March of Gaza. 220 people, it's what people died. Hamas didn't shoot a bullet.
You mean the... Let me show you something here. Let me show you this video for those who haven't seen it on Twitter already. Let me show you these peaceful attitudes here. These peaceful Hamas dudes here. Let me show you these peaceful things here.
يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى.
We must attack every Jew on the planet, kill them, slaughter them in the name of Allah.
شعبنا جاهزين للتفجير. عملنا مصنع جديد.
All the Palestinians are ready to explode. We built a suicide vest factory.
إن شاء الله تعالى.
Why won't they let us across their fence?
We are ready to breach the fence.
جاهزين.
Our sisters are ready. They are all ready.
كله أوف جاهزات كلهن يحملنا أحزمة متفجرة.
They carry the suicide vests on their way to Allah. We will force 1 or 2 cracks at each base. 5 breaches. And we will make it all the way to reach you. You are all doomed to be killed. With Allah's help, we will all be killed by our suicide vests. Look at these peaceful words. We built a new factory for suicide vests. Hitler didn't have speeches like this. We will distribute vests to anybody who wants one. Here, take one, go. Blow yourselves up, kill the Jews. And you, people of the West Bank, for how long will you sit quietly? He's now talking to the other Palestinians. We want you to wield your knives. They cost only 5 shekels each. How much does a Jew's throat need to cost us? 5 shekels or less. Is this the peaceful attitude that he's talking about? Is this the peaceful march he's talking about? Our men are ready to die and to breathe. We were born here in Gaza to put an end to the Zionist entity. Does this look like the peaceful possibility of a 2-state solution that Mohammed Hijab is talking about? And these people only, attacking because they are being provoked by Israel. Is this what that sounds like?
Yeah, dude, this is like a rape victim hiding in the bathroom.
This is, I have watched and listened to plenty of Hitler speeches, and I have never heard anything that is remotely as bad as this.
What are you doing sitting around listening to Hitler speeches all day, man?
There was a time in the past where I wanted to listen to as many of them as possible for the historical thing and to really understand what the guy was on about. And in the end, I realized that he was completely insane. But the comparison here is, I have never heard something remotely as horrible as this from Hitler, from all of his speeches and appearances. And you want to tell me that these guys are just, they just want to have a peaceful solution here and all that.
Hey, that would be a good live stream topic or just a video topic. Hitler versus Hamas, who's worse? And then just play a clip of Hitler like at his absolute worst, and then play, like that guy at his absolute worst, and compare and contrast.
Oh, you know what happened after the speech that I just showed? Hamas actually issued a statement and said that what this guy said do not fully represent the accurate sentiments of Hamas, and that they issue a retraction because of what? Because to them, their views and attitudes toward the Jews only apply to Jews inside Palestine, not to all Jews around the world. So
that's what Muhammad said. He said, by the way, when they say they're going to hide behind the trees and rocks, and the trees and rocks are going to cry out, "Hey, come kill this Jew," I meant Zionists, just Zionists, just them.
So the statement that Hamas actually made in response to this guy calling for the killing of Jews was, no. He said, all Jews in the world, we don't stand by that because we only target the Jews inside Palestine. Them, yes, we want to kill them. We tell others to go and cut their throats with their knives. We want to, explode ourselves and kill them and all of that. But not all Jews around the world. So we just want to make that clear here. We don't want to be mistaken as these horrible people. Yeah. These are the guys that Mohammed Hijab comes here and defends and tries to rationalize and tries to depict as these victims.
Yeah, Piers should have on the other guy. Piers should have on those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No rocket was launched. Yeah. So 220 people died, and this is even mentioned by the UN and these kind of agencies. They tried to bring it up, the Palestinian Authority, they tried to bring this up to what we call the ICJ, which is part of the UN. Okay. What happened is the Donald Trump administration, they threatened to freeze the assets of the ICJ, which tells you the following: what are the Palestinian people to do? Because the fact of the matter is, if they try and bring it up,
let me ask you.
Let me finish the point. If they try and bring it up,
we're running out of time. That's why I'm jumping.
But if they try and bring it up to international law, it's thwarted.
I do think international law matters.
Sure.
I just don't believe that any peace can be achieved with Hamas in charge? Do you?
Before Hamas,
Now,
there was-
after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is
Can't forget about last weekend.
no, it's not.
Forget about last
Forget
week.
about forget about that, man.
Yeah, you know, that's a brutal attack. 1,400 people dead. You
Forget
know,
about
all
that.
kinds of stuff.
Forget
Forget
about
about
that.
that. Forget about that.
Just focus on the UN.
Yeah, yeah. The issue here is Hamas, Mohammed Hijab. The issue here is Hamas. Yes, Piers is 100% right in that statement. With Hamas, there is simply no peace possible because Hamas does not believe in peace. That's the issue we have. Hamas is in charge of Gaza at the moment.
Before Hamas,
Now,
there was-
after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is
Can't forget about last weekend.
no, it's not. Before last
It's
weekend,
irrelevant to
before
me.
Hamas, 1987. This was still going on.
But not on this scale. And
Worse.
No, it wasn't
were-
as bad as this.
What are you talking about?
What happened on October
Sorry,
7th
that shows ignorance
was
of
the
history.
single worst assault on a populace
Yom
since
Kippur.
9/11. It
No,
was.
Yom Kippur War was 2,600 people died, by the way. 1973. That's false.
In one day?
In one day, I don't know, about 600 people died.
Pierce said since 9/11, and Mohammed Hijab said false because the Yom Kippur War in 1973.
Yeah,
What-
yeah.
what? Okay, that's before 9/11, Mohammed Hijab. No, I thought you meant 9/11 in 1952.
False.
It's 9/11. On October
Sorry,
7th
that shows ignorance
was
of
the
history.
single
Okay, one issue is also, he says this was also long before Israel, long before this and that. I'm sorry, Israel was founded in 1948. Prior to 1948, there were Arab objections and attacks on the Zionist project, which was which took place long before Israel, of course, came into existence. It was a preparation with the aim to establish an Israeli Jewish state where Jews and Arabs as Palestinians could live together. And just leading up to that, the Zionists were not guys who just went out there and started occupying random lands. That's not how it went. The local Arabs thought that they have some claim on the lands, which were privately purchased and then publicly given by the British mandate that was in control of that region, because they took the region from the Ottoman Empire. They gave the public land to the Zionists, and the Zionists also bought a bunch of private land from the local Arabs. But the Arabs eventually realized, hey, wait a minute. Now our guys are selling a bunch of land to these other guys, and these British guys want to give this public land to these guys as well. I think we are going to become the guests here. Where is this going? They weren't very happy with the situation, so they started getting violent, and the violent turned into more violence, and so on. And the Arabs didn't want to accept the outcome of the First World War. They didn't want to accept the outcome of those people who actually are in charge of that land doing with that land what they can do with that land, which is why they became violent. And they never even accepted a two-state solution, which was a compromise that was made specifically for them. It was the Arab side that from the very beginning was violent. Up until the war in 1948, which was a war declared by the Arabs together with the Arab nations, the Zionists did not occupy or steal a single thing. Not a single thing. Such a thing wasn't done. The only actual occupation or annexation of land happened after the 1948 war, which was started by the Arabs. And I'm sorry, if you declare a war on an entity that is even ready to recognize your right to also have a state in the region, and you lose that war, and your enemy then takes some of your land and says, stay in your lane, I'm sorry, that's your fault. You should live with the consequences of that. It's that easy. It's the outcome of a war that you started, and you should live with the consequences. That's it. It's that simple. Man.
So
Well,
AP just said a rapist doesn't have a right to defend herself.
on a populace
Yom
since
Kippur.
9/11. It
No,
was.
Yom Kippur War was 2,600 people died, by the way. 1973. That's false.
In one day?
Man.
In one day, I don't know, about 600 people died
Does he even hear himself?
in one day.
Mohammed,
Ariel Sharon said
I've got to leave it there. We've run out of time. I gave you more time than I planned to.
See?
I appreciate that.
Pierce is running from me. He's running from my powerful Dawa. Alhamdulillah, Mohammed Hijab has saved us again.
You know what's also so disingenuous about this guy, which also is so telling about the debates and discussions that he has, he retweeted something that somebody posted on Twitter, which is titled, wait, let me find it quickly here. It's about Ben Shapiro. It says Ben Shapiro shivers when Mohammed Hijab is played, or something like that. Oh, where was that? Oh, here.
I by the way, I seriously don't know what Ben Shapiro is thinking in not having Mohammed Hijab join him for a discussion. Like, what could you possibly be thinking?
Look at this. Look at this.
One person.
This is shared as Ben Shapiro shivering when Mohammed Hijab appeared on the screen. Free Palestine. As many of you can probably tell, Ben Shapiro is not shivering.
One person called you a genocidal warmonger for that rhetoric.
They
And
should have
there's
added a special effect to make
Hijab
him
in a video
shake.
called responding to Ben Shapiro on Israel. He says this.
First and foremost,
First off, you can't even see Ben Shapiro when Mohammed Hijab appears at first.
Yeah, well, how do you know he's not shivering? Oh, we got him side by side there, so he's going to be shivering. Watch.
Do you have academic sources which say that he was not shivering? Man. Twitter videos are...
Look at this, 33,000 likes.
Yeah.
8,000 retweets.
Warmonger for that rhetoric. And there's a person called Mohammed Hijab in a video called in responding to Ben Shapiro on Israel. He says this.
first and foremost, I'll say, yes, we condemn any woman, child, or whatever.
You condemn a woman?
Who's Jewish and who's not.
So I condemn any woman.
Why is it the case, Ben? Huh? Why is it the case that none of your
Is he shivering?
Is he shivering?
colleagues or you have been able to offer one single condolence,
Is he shivering at this point?
single condemnation, one single word of sympathy for any of
Is he shivering? Still no shivering. I still don't see any
the
shivering.
Gazans that have been killed? Don't try and smear us. Don't try and slander us. Don't try and attack.
I still see no shivering.
Don't try and produce red herrings. And I think you're an ass, a jackass. And we're
I still don't see any shivering.
not talking about Hamas. We're talking about children here. We're talking about
Maybe he's not yelling loud enough. I don't know, but I still don't see any shivering.
Yeah.
women.
Do you see shivering, David?
Well, because when I hear, I'm listening to Mohammed Hijab, so I'm shivering too. So I don't know if I can't see it because I'm shaking too. I don't know if it's me or him.
We're talking about elderly people. You make me sick. You make me sick.
Look, to be fair, he
when
moved.
the screen transitioned, you could see him shake. Watch the screen
You make me
transition. Watch.
sick. You make me sick.
Oh, you see him shake. You see?
It's shaking.
I went like that. Ah!
It should. But wait, to be honest, look, there's a shiver. Look at this. As soon as Mohammed Hijab says, "You make me sick," Ben Shapiro moves his head slightly. Look at that. Look.
You make me sick. You make
Did you see that?
Shivering.
Shivering.
But then when it switches, then you really see him shake.
And then he looks down because he's
Look at
scared.
him. He's blurry because he's shaking.
Yeah. But Mohammed Hijab is
Mohammed
shaking.
Hijab. Mohammed Hijab is trembling. Look at that.
Mohammed Hijab is also shaking. What are we going to do with this? Huh.
These guys are awesome, man.
Look at this. Piers Morgan is even shaking. It's not even addressing him.
He's red.
Even he's
red.
Response to that, Ben.
This is the stuff that they share. Mohammed Hijab reposted this. Ben Shapiro shivering when Mohammed Hijab appeared on the screen. This is what we care about.
Palestine, alhamdulillah. I love these guys, man. They're awesome.
Man, this is the level of intellectual academic approach that these guys have. The world is shaking. Taylor Swift, shake it off. Good. All right. I'm going to see if there are any updates on the hospital situation. U.S. State Department warns Americans not to travel to Lebanon. So if any American is in Lebanon right now, you're not supposed to be there. Just so you know. White House says Israel feels very strongly they did not cause hospital explosion. Okay, but yeah, we still don't have actual evidence aside from the footage we have seen earlier, which confirms that it was a rocket that exploded mid-air, after which the hospital explosion happens.
Hey, look, Islamic jihad is trending in the United States.
It is
Good. Gonna be trending for a
Yeah.
while, probably.
right here.
And then hospital.
Alhamdulillah, Islamic Jihad is trending.
Oh, they're saying that Islamic Jihad did it.
Yeah, that was the. Oh, here you asked for footage of the thing earlier. Wait a minute. You asked for what happened to the hospital.
Whoa.
On October
That's not good.
17th, Islamic Jihad destroyed a hospital in Gaza when a rocket aimed toward Israel.
Okay, I'm sharing this right now just to see the footage. I personally want to wait for complete verification
Mhm.
to argue who actually did it and how it happened. This is the IDF release saying Islamic Jihad did it. I personally am not saying Islamic Jihad did it. I take all of that with a little bit of skepticism.
17th, Islamic Jihad destroyed a hospital in Gaza when a rocket aimed toward Israel, misfired, and landed in Gaza. This isn't the first time.
But yeah, this video, it was not put out there by the IDF. This was put out there independently. Even actually, it originated from Al Jazeera, which was the first one to say this, to say Israeli airstrike. So the IDF is merely posting what independent journalist sources, even those who are biased in favor of Hamas or the Palestinians, published. And they show that this is a rocket fired from Gaza. It is, however, the IDF that says it was the group Islamic Jihad, for which I am still waiting to see more evidence.
While thousands of rockets are fired toward Israel.
Okay, the rest is just reminder for old stuff. But yeah, so this is pictures from a hospital. I don't know. Holding the BBC accountable with Conricus, who is the spokesperson here. All right, that's all. We don't have any further evidence, any further news on that whole situation right now. So from all of this discussion between Mohammed Hijab and Piers Morgan, what are your conclusions, David? Do you now think that Islam is true and free Palestine?
Dawa is powerful, man. Dawa is powerful.
And free Palestine? Not?
Oh, yeah. Hamas is a bunch of heroes. Hamas, the H is for hero.
Oh.
The A is for awesome. The M is for manly.
Really? Do you have academic sources verifying this claim?
Yeah. The Journal of Trust Me, bro.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to read some super chats here. Do you want to go? Fruit Punch Samurai said,
What?
like how Japan, Germany changed drastically after defeating World War II, do you think Palestine or other Middle Eastern countries will change in such a manner? Difficult.
Notice, by the way, there is an important point here. Germany was bombed down to rubble. World War II.
Yes.
Japan, I mean, they had nukes dropped on them. And they have the number 3 and number 4 economies in the world today. Right? It's the United States, China, Japan, Germany. So they were able to rebuild. They were able to build up. So why can't someone else do that? Because of Muhammad. That's why.
Because of Islam.
Also notice, completely different ideologies there. Completely different ethnic groups. They were on the same side. They were massively impacted by a huge war less than a century ago, and they rebuilt until they have the number 3 and number 4 economies in the world right now.
Yeah. So the issue with Germany, for example, is here. I'm just trying to recheck. In 1932, they reached just over 37% of the vote nationally. They are high watermark prompting Hitler to call on President Hindenburg to name him chancellor. So the peak of the Nazi votes was 37% of the national vote, for example. You had most of the Germans in Nazi Germany were not, like Nazi supporters or fans of the Nazis. It was an ideology that was rising. Plus, most Germans were not even aware of the concentration camps and what was actually happening. The Japanese were not all in favor of the Japanese ideology that they are superior people and they should rule the world and stuff like that. When World War II ended, it didn't take very much to go in there and to change the way the population thinks. When it comes to Islam, it's not quite that easy, as we have established. People might be supportive of terrorist organizations or not. They might be supportive of Hamas or not, but there is still at the heart of the matter the Islamic ideology. And we have watched a video a few days ago which shows that children at schools, at UN-funded schools, learn to hate and kill the Jews when they are older. It's hard to say.
No stronger retrograde force.
Alhamdulillah. J.D. Beauchamp said, I was waiting for this all day. Excellent work, guys. AP, what would you say are some of the things that are still holding you back from becoming a Christian? I'm also curious if you've read Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. I don't read books. Just kidding.
No, it's messed up. I've never read Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. I've always been like, what are you talking about? I was there. What do I need to read it for?
You haven't read the book of your best friend?
Oh, I was like, I was there, man.
Wow.
Isn't that messed up? and what's really messed up is Nabil bothered me for years. Like, hey, did you read it yet? I was like, no, I was there. What are you talking about?
Why would I read it? What's holding me back? Lots of things are holding me back.
Sin.
Yeah, I just like
pride.
I like drinking blood.
Incest.
Oh man, people will clip this and say, you see, even his friend admits it.
David Wood outs him for incest.
I would rather make a dedicated thing about that.
Yeah, you should because people are going to keep asking you questions like this. You should just do like a yearly update on your thoughts about everything and where you stand on every issue or something like that. And then when they ask you a question, you can say, hey, my most recent update was 3 months ago, and there you have it.
If you haven't seen it, then shame on you. Shame on you. You disgust me. But yeah, so in short, I would just say that I'm if I were convinced that something is true, then I would believe in it. If I'm not convinced, then it's because it is simply merely an epistemological, theological thing. I'm simply not convinced. That's it. John said, how dare you not praise my ego, Islamophobe? Strap-on pleasure machine said, the strap-on pleasure machine will hit like an avalanche, a tsunami. Super Deep Ray said, China threatened to nuke Australia. What will David Wood do? He will probably nuke it too. Ryan Abar, becoming a YouTube member. Welcome to the club. Thank you so much. Albano Gusto said, you guys are the best. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I appreciate it. Real Masker said, how dare you say others disagree with me? How dare you not mention my Oxford? You're sick.
You're sick. You're sick. You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done. You're a liar. You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
I hope I don't have to play anything else after this one. That was enough. Stefan Belevich said, I just wanted to ask, how is Piers Morgan YouTube channel filled with comments supporting Mohammed Hijab? Are those bots, or is it actually a community response? Well, they are mostly Muslims who are responding positively. In fact, what's very funny is I didn't do this, but you know what? I might as well do this right now. Where's that video? Piers Morgan. Let's go on Piers Morgan's channel here, and let's see the video.
Welcome back last week.
Let's see the video here. Let's see the video. Let's look through the comment section. Quite obvious. Let's find a comment that says something. He asked $1 million question. Everybody seems to feel so why would an occupier defend itself to begin with? Let's find one that says something like, I'm not a Muslim. Pierce never fails to piss me off. You know full well, journalist. No way about standing. Pierce doesn't realize he's answering questions. The fact that it's so hard. Imagine you invited a troubled person into your house and helped them. Blah, 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 blah. And such a great pleasure, lost big way. Yeah, sure. I'm not super familiar with Mohammed Hijab, but right off the gate, he nailed the position that so many Western leftists have been unable to hit. So here's one. Let's take this one. Let's save this one. I'll open it in a second. Okay, let's see. I might not find anything at all, but very often when I look through his comments and I see somebody saying, I did not know who Mohammed Hijab is, I was not familiar, or I'm not a Muslim, but it often turns out to be a complete hoax. I saw some of the videos of Mohammed Hijab before, but after watching this, I kind of became his fan. What a personality. He was really tough for Piers Morgan. Let's take this one too. I don't know. Maybe I will not get anything. Maybe I will not get any results out of this. I'm not entirely sure. I can't say anything here. Yeah. Maybe I can't say anything here. Let's see. Thank you for giving us a voice. Ending the show after coming back is hilarious. Doesn't condemn killing of Palestine. Okay. I only got 2. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. All right. First person.
Oh, did you answer this yet? That's a good question.
First person. Let's see.
Did you answer this question?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm assuming you said because they organized pretty well to flood the comment sections of things.
Doesn't seem to follow anything suspicious. Okay, fair. Maybe this is a fair comment. Let's go to this one. It's coming up. Come on. Come on. No subscriptions active. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I can find somebody here. I used to respect Piers Morgan. Let's see.
And what's interesting is you can always tell how they think it went.
Anonymous again, gosh.
If they thought it went really well, they'd be praising him and saying how awesome it was.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Want to put in his place. Oh, come on, man. It's not a single person who is actually not an anonymous person here. Come on. You have my huge respect. How can I? That was brutal. Nope. We're not going to get anything out of it. No. Let's see. Oh, this is a big profile. I didn't even see what the comment says. I don't know.
You seriously going through millions of comments? Oh, yes. Yes, why the channel's filled with comments. Let's go through every last one of them.
The funny thing is, whenever I go through these comments, I come across several of them that are like, before this, I had no idea who Mohammed Hijab is, but now I'm this and this. And then you check. Unfortunately, on the computer, I cannot see what other things they commented on this channel. But at least sometimes you can see what other channels they are subscribed to. And then it turns out they're actually subscribed to all the Dawa channels and all of that.
Before watching this, I was a devout Christian and a priest. But after watching this, Alhamdulillah, I've converted to Islam.
Yeah, but you don't see a single actual person who is actually making any proper points here. It's just the same thing all over. And then you go on Twitter, you see actual real people who comment on Piers Morgan stuff all the time, and you see them express their disgust with this whole situation. You can go on my Twitter just to see that. Yeah, there's no hope in this. That's the bad thing with YouTube comments. But anyway, yeah. So that's basically the takeaway. I completely failed right now to demonstrate this horrible failure. I should be humiliated and delete my channel now. It's proven that I'm completely wrong on everything. But yeah, it's all just always this whole stuff. When a Muslim apologist goes somewhere, the Muslim crowd is always sure to flood the comment section and leave as many positive comments as possible to then make it look like their side completely won. Whereas the other side, the people who are non-Muslims and who don't like the situation, are then drowned out by all of that downvoting or disliking and the positive comments. If you then go on Twitter, for example, or other sources and look at the independent reactions, you will see a bunch of people not liking it at all. Same thing happened recently with the whole PBD podcast. Cedric says, so killing one apostate is like killing all mankind.
No.
Good question.
Even so, you've got 532, but and it would get quoted after terrorist attacks as, if anyone kills a man, it's as if he's killed all mankind. But even if you just read that, even if you ignore the next verse, which calls for all sorts of massacres and so on, the full verse of 532 says that this is for the children of Israel, but it also includes the caveat, except for making mischief in the land.
Yeah.
So you've heard Ali Dawa. He specifically applied that to you. You causing corruption in the land by spreading it, right? So in theory, what Ali Dawa is saying is if you were an apostate and you kept your mouth shut about it, and you went to the mosque and did everything, and no one knew about it, oh, okay, you're fine. Well, that's true. And in fact, when we hear that statistic that like over 5% of people in Muslim majority countries are closet atheists, there's a reason they're closet atheists. Right? There's a reason they keep their mouth shut. And Ali Dawa is basically saying, fine, as long as you live like a Muslim and pretend we don't know any better, and therefore we isn't gonna kill you, see? So yeah.
AP said, follower of the Christ. AP, here's some of my shekels from a Messianic Jew. I hope my brethren will.
It is funny that people keep Mossad keeps funneling the shekels to you and to me the other day through YouTube. It's pretty smart, right? Because like if you just send us a check, if people just send us a check, then there's a paper trail, right? If you're funneling all through here in super chats, people don't even know.
I know, but they're not sending enough right now. I don't know. I'm not really getting the whole package. I'm not really getting the funding that I need for defending Israel so much. I don't know. Like Mossad has really let me down lately with this conflict going on. Maybe they're busy right now. I'm not really sure. But
show us the shekels.
India lover said, thanks to social media, all Islamic is exposed. Yep. Samuel Tawhid said, I condemn all Palestinian children killed in Gaza. Shame on Hamas and the parents of those children using them as human shields and propaganda tropes. Eliza said, meanwhile, they take Hamas at face value. Exactly. Jeff Jubler said, Morgan's Bassem Youssef interview was compelling. Rami got me the super chat.
I didn't see that. Go back to that name. I just want to pull it up.
Bassem Youssef.
I might want to check it out for later.
Bassem Youssef. Bassem Youssef.
That was on Piers Morgan?
I guess so. That's what it says. Mosh Cohen said Hamas is going on a killing spree while streaming it live for Muslims to support and enjoy. Also, Muslims, it's AI. Those people are sick, truly sick. I know it's just ridiculous. We have talked about it so much, but without even spending a minute on what Hamas actually did that day, they will immediately go to. So why don't you speak about what Israel is doing? That's not the point, bro. We all know what happened. We all know how this war started. Ramigal said 50 minutes ago, this is in Arabic. Hijab is sharing a tweet that's unapologetically glorifying the attack, stating it set an example for generations to come. I need to check that. Hijab sharing a tweet saying that this is an example for generations to come. I need to check that. I can't say anything about that. Paulo AP Piers said, it says AP, only I'm AP. I wonder what would happen if someday a misfired rocket from those fanatics hit Al-Aqsa or the Dome of the Rock.
And I remember years ago when Hamas was doing rocket launches, that there were some Jews who were praying that one of them would accidentally hit the Dome of the Rock, so that in order to cause massive outrage against the random rocket strikes. Like what do you got to do to get these guys to stop launching random rockets at people? And they were hoping it would hit a target that would enrage their own people enough to make them stop. But yeah, it is. I wonder how careful they are with that.
Hold up. Not sure about the sources right now, but Majid Nawaz, whom I don't really trust very much when it comes to information, just tweeted a photo showing that. Let's put this on here. Showing that the black flag is raised over the Imam Reza shrine in Iran for the first time in history. Symbolism in Islamic historic tradition: when the black flags come from Khorasan, go to them even if you have to crawl on snow. Among them is the Caliph of Allah, the Mahdi. I heard this same narration from Sunni sources in different forms, although it is not considered very strong. That's not very authentic. But so the idea is basically that there will be these black flags raised, or black banner, which will signal the coming of the Mahdi, the savior of the Muslims in the end times, when the final war starts. And Iran raising that right now would mean that they are saying that the end is here and the Mahdi is coming, which is, I don't know how to put it in words. This is historic, but it's also ludicrous and very dangerous. Not sure how verifiable this is at the moment.
I'm seeing it. I'm searching on Twitter. It's on let's see, Twitter. It's BNN breaking. Reddit.
Some say it happened before. Not entirely sure. I don't know.
It is something. Just so everyone knows, this is all connected, right? It's when Ali Dawa said, basically after these guys have thrown all their own arguments, all the arguments they use for Islam, after they've destroyed them themselves, thanks to us, they finally admit it and put the nail in the coffin and acknowledge that their arguments are terrible. Ali Dawa's response was, but people's going to convert because of our intolerance, right? That's all connected. I'm not saying that's not Ali Dawa just coming up with this idea and everyone's following Ali Dawa. It's Ali Dawa and many people in positions of influence around the world are panicking over the avalanche of apostasy, and they're figuring out what to do about it. And the tendency in Islam is to always dial up your aggression. You've got a prophet whose solution for anything that could go wrong is violence.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a state of panic. What do we do? And it's like, hey, it's now or never. We have to take our stand. We have to go all out. And so you see Iran, Hamas, the Dawa guys, they're all just dialing it up. And
all right. I have to make a correction here. I see now that the flag was raised over the last years, was raised earlier this year as well. So this is definitely not the first time. I was quite correct in not trusting Majid Nawaz as a source.
Apostate Prophet destroyed, admits he was lying.
I'm serious. What happened to this guy? I mean, this guy used to be at some point a reasonable guy. I don't know. And then it all went downhill in the recent years. This is fake news. It's not true. Not true at all. Nothing bad happening. Anyway. Abanzer, who wrote in, said, in my view, declaring a war, warning civilians to leave, attacking from air is less painful than going house to house, slaughter, and burn people alive. Yeah. Etan said, hijab is sick in the mind and intellectually subservient.
You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
Ram Runner said, no, I want to see Alex Jones versus Mohammed Hijab on epic rap battles of history.
I'd just like to see them argue about something. That'd be awesome.
Me too. The real
how about that? Why?
They would end up
get Mohammed Hijab on the show. Get Mohammed Hijab on that show.
They would end up agreeing with each other and becoming like doing all kinds of trash talk that you would normally see in some weird household between old uncles talking about random stuff that they heard on the internet or from their friends or whatever it is. So, or from TV, I don't know. That's what it would sound like to me. Not sure. The Real Masker said, all or nothing for Islam, I stick by it. Wouldn't a prim source be entirely inappropriate? A prim source? What? Admiral Yamamoto said, so strong, what's weird is like, look at my suit.
What's weird is like a primary source. Like if you're talking about a primary source in philosophy, that would be like Aristotle's own writing rather than people writing about Aristotle. If you're talking about a primary source for a baby being like, what would that even be? Like a picture?
Yeah,
because that's what was being provided. So yeah, weird stuff.
Oh, they want to see live footage of I don't even want to pronounce it. Mary means that Apostate Prophet, is there a super chat that it can automatically press a Mohammed Hijab soundboard button? There should be. That would be great.
Oh, that would be funny if like anytime someone sends you $50 or something like that, and we hear Mohammed Hijab.
I think people use different streaming softwares where such a thing is actually possible, where they have systems in place where if you make a super chat, it plays a certain sound or something like that. But I ain't got that. Aban Zeruddin said, Christian from Pakistan, now living in Australia. Been connected to you since last 5 years and always praying for both of you for God's protection. Not for me, this is for you.
Don't pray for me, I'm an atheist.
Carlo Magna said, I would love to see Sam Shamoon mop the floor with Mohammed Hijab in a debate. So I don't know, that would be kind of chaotic.
He would.
He would.
He
but
would.
It would be
He'd
very
run-
chaotic too.
He would run circles around him. Yeah.
Yes, but it would be very chaotic. Yeah.
Well, it'd have to be organized with time constraints and so on.
Yeah. Kevin James Johnson said, breaking, Dr. Mohammed Hijab, Oxford graduate, establishes new standard for academic rigor in journalism. Seriously, that's so dumb, man. Yeah, but, journalists are not a primary authority. They're not academics. But Francis Boyer said, praying for people all over. God bless you to all. Thank you. I read this immediately as like a Muslim would read it, like praying 4 times, like something like that before.
It's 5. It's 5, not 4.
Yeah. Ven made a super chat. Thank you, Ven. Thank you, Ven. I don't know why I'm yelling at all of you. Mosh Cohen said, I'm trying to share the Telegram channel that has a lot of those AI-generated videos, images, but it's not working. The channel is called Hamas Did. Huh. Thanks for that information. The real Chris, Hamas videos are primary sources. What a clown. The war dandy said, shouldn't Allah send a cloud of dust to help out Hamas like it did in the Quran? Maybe tell them they will have certain victory calls. They are numbered. That should be happening. But Allah wants to wait for now and let the Israelis win, because later, as we all know, as they all believe, as Mohammed Hijab also firmly believes, when the time comes, the Jews will fight the Christians, and the trees and rocks will say, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. And with that in mind, of course, all Mohammed Hijab wants for Jews is peace. All he wants is a 2-state solution and peace in the world, right?
Nope, he said no. I have to say, if I were an Israeli, I would be saying it all the time. I'd say, hey, the Quran says that Allah gave us the land, and you're fighting against us. So you're actually fighting against Allah. Maybe that's why you keep losing. I would say that every day.
Jeff Dribbler said, Oxford quietly shredding evidence of his diploma. Yeah, I believe it's not the first time that a graduate from such a prestigious university puts on such embarrassing things. Another example is Stanley Kikuchi, for example. Kedani said, what is it? What is this? Kedani? Sedani? What is this? Do you speak English? Do you know what that means? Haha, you stuttered. You're finished, boy. Yeah.
You're finished already. Look at me. Look at me. You know you're done.
That's what would have made that live stream a little bit better if he went full hijab, right? Why are you stuttering? I'm not saying you're finished, boy. Like that would have been perfect. That would have been
I was kind of
icing on there.
I was wishing for him to actually yell there. I was wishing for him to do one of those things, to go like, "You're finished already. Look at me."
In fact, Pierce should have pushed his button on that a bit. He's like, "Hey, why don't you act like you do in your videos, huh? A little scared, Now that we're face to face, you're scared, huh?"
We're proud of that.
Juliana D. Jesus said, I'm surprised. Jesus said, I'm surprised. Hijab kept his suit on.
Yeah. No, that would have made it even better. First, he starts yelling, "You're finished, boy, you're finished." And then, "I'll show you what you're facing. All you Jews around the world, look at this." And then he pulls his suit off and he sits in there in his wait, didn't he have like a little fanny pack when he did that? He's got some sort of weird fanny pack on his side.
Yeah. I think so.
I love this guy, man.
I'm looking for Mohammed Hijab striptease, but I can't find the video now. I don't know why.
You can look up a powerful message to China or whatever. It'll be under something like that.
Yeah. I don't want to look at it at all. I'm sick of it. Random Oak said, Hamas targets civilians. IDF targets Hamas, and civilians are caught in crossfire. Trying to claim moral equivalence is bullshit. Blood is on Hamas. Yeah, the difference is also quite clear. Look, I just stuttered, which means I'm wrong. The difference is also very clear, which is that Israel, I'm not saying that this should be happening, right? I'm not saying any of this should be happening, but Israel gave a warning and said, evacuate. We are going to target these places. But hey, These guys can't even properly condemn what Hamas did on October 7th. There should be no people shouldn't be forced to just to somehow explain themselves and explain why what Hamas is doing in response is wrong, when these guys can't even come out and actually condemn and go against what Hamas did. They should be out there from day one, from October 7, and should condemn what Hamas did, and should ask for the return of the hostages, and should ask for Hamas to basically surrender. Because if fighting is the problem, if aggression is the problem, if this conflict is the problem, Hamas should surrender, because Hamas has no interest in ending the conflict. It's quite clear. Albana Gusto said Israel is pushing the Pallies out on once and for all. This is the last straw. Two-state solution will not work with these two religions. I think Israel did say that they don't have any interest in occupying Gaza, and that they will leave once they're done with the operation. And plus, they're still not having an offensive in the West Bank. So that's the state of things. CR said Israel are criminals who stole the land. Yes, you too. You are too. L said the Arabs colonized, occupied the Middle East. No Muslim nation wants Gaza refugees. Mr. Crane just said Momo is quite
by the way, that is, I mean, we talked about that earlier, but the border, there is a Gaza border with Egypt that is controlled by Egypt and I think the Palestinian Authority. Muslim countries could at least temporarily take in all these women and children to keep them out of the war zone. They're not touching them. They're not going anywhere near them. Hamas won't let them out. Egypt won't let them out. No one wants them. Saudi Arabia is not taking them. And somehow it's just like all Israel's fault that they're still there.
Yeah. Nathaniel Robinson said someone needs to ask why people, not just Muslims, immediately believed a health minister within seconds and can't now admit they jumped the gun. And they won't admit it. They won't admit it. They will not admit it. They believed as soon as it came out that it was an Israeli airstrike. And no matter what happens now, they will probably not change. If it is verified with absolute certainty tomorrow that it wasn't Israel, I'm pretty sure one of two things will happen. They will insist that it was indeed Israel, despite all of the proof, or all of this will just quietly go away, despite all the rioting that they have done tonight. People won't actually acknowledge that it wasn't Israel. They won't condemn their own side for this stuff. Let's see. Wall Street Journal and Reuters have now confirmed that Israel bombed the Gaza. That's not true. What are you talking about? I'm checking news on the side. Sorry. Jameson said ultra crepidarian.
Ultra crepidarian.
Nicholas
Gosh, it says hundreds of people dead in that hospital blast.
Didn't I tell you that for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Now?
Well, I got it. I got it official now. I got an official report. It was just you saying it, and I saw a bombed out, depleted building.
Okay, well, do you have confirmation from academics?
Yeah, the White House wrote an article in a journal.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you say?
President Biden wrote an academic journal article. I can't even say it. Sorry.
Yeah, right now, no further news. Rory Mary said, can't send much, but I'm a big fan of both of you and never want to have your voices taken away from the world discourse. God bless you both. Thank you. I appreciate that. Can't send much. Yeah, but I'm expecting at least $500 at the end of the month. Thanks. I'm not Abdul made a super chat and didn't add anything, but thank you. I appreciate it. Egas made a super sticker. Thank you. Catalex became a YouTube member. Welcome to the club. You are now a
winner.
Member.
A winner.
Winner. Yes, a winner. Dame Piglet said Muhammad versus Hitler. Who was worse? You know what? What do you think about this question, David? I know it's a completely irrelevant, useless thing, but maybe, I don't know. But what do you think about this hypothetical, this thought experiment here?
Well, it's interesting because I mean Hitler had way more firepower and took on the entire world, but he was much more short-lived. Whereas Muhammad, by starting a religion, is able to cause much more long-term suffering than Hitler. So Hitler, at the moment, at his moment in time, over a period of several years, was able to cause much more suffering than Muhammad could in a comparable amount of time. But Muhammad, long term, was able to cause more. But this is a boom boom room episode we've been thinking about for years. I recall you demanding that you would be the one to play Hitler in any sort of a boom boom room episode.
Who, me?
You? No, my Aunt Maple. Yes, you.
Why do you keep talking about your Aunt Maple? She's not here.
Don't you remember I said you said you wanted to play Hitler, and I said you'd have to have a good Hitler impression, and you said I've been working on that all my life.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
I thought that was funny.
That's true. I said that. Yeah.
Because I was wondering, because you were like perfect for Sigmund Freud. I don't even know what Sigmund Freud sounds like, but you sound exactly like you have this calm, soothing voice as you're talking. Oh, especially when you do it with a German accent. So you crush that. But when I think of Hitler, it's not a calm, soothing voice. I'm thinking like, it's like, what the heck is that?
I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, it's hard to say for me as well, but I feel like given the circumstance, I don't know. It's a hard question.
Yeah, you have to figure out the criteria, because you could argue that either way.
Yeah. I would say that Hitler was severely deluded, very. I mean, he had no regard for human life. His whole idea was that that the individual is worth nothing. And that for the greater cause.
Wait. So you're saying that the rights of the individual are outweighed by the rights of the community?
Yes. Hitler thought that that human lives are completely dispensable for the greater cause. The cause matters. The future matters. The race, the human race matters. And if 5 million people die for that, it doesn't matter. What matters is the cause. That was his whole idea. I'm not sure if I can compare those two individuals. Saint Constantine the Great said Mohammed Hijab is definitely a legend in his own mind. Most definitely. Grim Reaper said the world is safe only as long as Christianity is the largest religion. How dare you say this on an atheist channel?
You're finished already. Look at me. You know you're done.
There is a valuable point there, in that a lot of the progress in the world tends to happen with massive Christian majority populations, and you start seeing that fall in places like the UK, to where you can't even say it anymore that there's a majority. And it is going to be an interesting scientific experiment to say, hey, let's just get rid of that majority and see what happens. And I'm legitimately interested in seeing how the world holds together here.
Well, I will be as frank as possible. I said this before on tweets and things like that, maybe, but I haven't really talked about it in length. But so here is how I view it. Christianity definitely has an impact on how people act in post-Christian. By which I don't mean that Christianity is completely gone. I mean that Christianity was established.
Oh, you're not saying Christianity is completely gone?
No.
Oh, good point. Good point.
No. The point is, so the society was Christian, and from there on, so in post-Christian cultures, it definitely has an impact on the things that people value even after they're not Christian. So even individuals, atheists, for example, in post-Christian environments, think that think that they should be compassionate toward, I don't know, minorities or others. So insofar, I would argue that even when I look at atheists, at online atheists, new atheists, secular humanists, whatever you want to call them, people who are even explicitly against Christianity, even in the things that they criticize Christianity about, morally speaking, they are adopting certain Christian values. Like they think they have a very strong sense of compassion toward this, other people, and they find it very, very wrong to see other people suffering, and they want to stand up for that. So they will go to a Christian, or what they perceive as Christianity causing the suffering, and they will be very strong in criticizing that without realizing that it's also the Christian foundation that gave them the sensitivity about compassion and suffering. You see what I mean? I'm not sure if I can make this
Yes,
clear.
and why are you and Nietzsche the only two people who seem to realize that from the atheist community? You and Nietzsche. That's it. Everyone else goes, oh, this is the way I am now, and therefore that's the way just people are naturally.
I wouldn't say it's only Nietzsche, but maybe I got that from Nietzsche. I don't know. I think I took quite some influence from that guy, but I mean, that's how it is. Because when I look at when I look at societies around the world and other atheist societies and non-post-Christian societies, people often don't seem to have quite the same values that they are so concerned about. Atheists in China, for example, are not that bothered about the suffering of others and all of that. Yeah. Anyway, with that said, atheism is the only true religion, of course.
What? Oh, I can't believe you said that.
Gerald Anthony said, do you have a link of the Al Jazeera video on the trajectory of the rocket that hit the hospital? I want to share it. I tweeted it. I have it on my Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm sure
it's everywhere. Yeah.
I'm sure more info is going to come out on that in the upcoming days.
It's everywhere, and yes, that's that. Yeah, Sankey said, seems like the government. Sankey said, seems like the government of Euro-Kyrgyzstan are using this opportunity to deport 1% of the most openly terrorist jihadis with criminal records.
By the way, that is interesting, and you know what it reminds me of? Not so far, but in the direction things are going. It reminds me of the situation that Israel is in, right? It's like, here's what we want to do, but you're putting us in a position where we have to do things that we really don't want to do, but you're kind of forcing us to change the way we do things. And so you have Western governments that are now, okay, we're going to start deporting people who say this or who do that and so on, or advocating bills and so on. Say, hey, anyone who supports this or something like that, we're going to have to start getting rid of them. And it's like, it's almost like, hey, we didn't want to do things that way, but we don't know what to do at this point. We don't know what to do. We would rather not say, oh, you hold this view, so we have to get rid of you.
Yeah. No idea what you just said, but yes, I agree.
I said Jesus is Lord, and I repent of my sins. And
oh no!
Hey, he's a Christian now. Ha ha.
Traven Holloway said no, because instead of condemning them, they are celebrating them. I've seen so many Muslims say that I followed parading these guys and laughing. I had chats with people on Twitter as well saying, I don't really care about the Jewish dead. I just care about these ones and stuff like that. Those who are anonymous are much more open about this. Those who are not abstain from condemning the things that Hamas did, but it's quite obvious that they don't care about dead Jews. Why would they? It's against their religion. Yeah, I'm sorry. Mosh Cohen said, hi guys, if you need a source on the Middle East, you can Google. Okay, somebody might say there is actually an incident according to the Hadith where Muhammad stood up when there was a funeral procession and they were walking by.
You see?
He got up.
Peaceful.
Religion and then his companion said, why are you showing respect? This is a Jew. And Muhammad then said, is it not a human? Right? That's the Hadith, I think. I think that's how it goes. The issue is there was actually a misunderstanding going on there. But I can say, yeah, so there was an instance where Muhammad showed respect, or at least that's what you get from looking at it at first, for the life of another Jew. That said, he also, eradicated them and their tribes, or expelled them.
Yeah, and by the way, I
enslaved
mean
them.
his perspective changed over time. At first, he was a super fan of the Jews. They were the ones who were going to confirm him as a prophet. He spent 12 years saying, "Hey, the Jews know this. The Jews are going to confirm me." And then he goes there, and they start rejecting him. But then his position slowly changes over time until it's, "Hey, I have to expel them for now and wipe out the Kareza Jews and eventually exterminate them all." So you could find almost every position on Jews in the Muslim sources.
Yeah, and the point is, I often like to point out that humans are not like completely evil or completely good. He could have such an issue where he shows some respect, which, however, doesn't take away from the fact that he also is the one who, according to the most authentic Islamic sources, said that you will fight and kill the Jews and leave not one of them. So,
yeah, like, I mean, imagine someone found some lost footage of Hitler, and there was a procession for a funeral going by, and he stands up. He said, "Oh, okay, well, he's good then." Yeah, he stood up for him. He stood up for them. He said that guy's a human. He said that Jew was human. And that's
he also had
it.
apparently he liked some Jews in his private life who I think the guy who taught him, or from whom he was inspired to paint, was Jewish. Lots of people in his early life were Jewish. Other people who served him were Jewish, and he had no problem with them. But then he had a problem with them later, and
that Jew kicked sand in his face at the beach, and he was
yeah. And also he liked dogs, so
yeah.
So Mosh Cohen said, "Hi guys, if you need a source on the Middle East, you can Google Abu Ali Express English, former intelligence. He has video of the hospital rocket." Interesting. I see David is immediately searching for it. Jonathan Levine said, "Is it immoral having an employee that supports the attack on October 7th? Should he be fired immediately? He called it resistance and provoked." What do you say? Make the decision, fire, make the shots.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, yes, destroying. It's going to depend on some of the situation, because people have different levels of knowledge. And this is one of the issues with, going after all the students and so on who blamed Israel for the attack. The thing is, like, what does this person actually believe? There are tons of people who think Israel came in there, kicked the Palestinians off their land, and just habitually oppress and abuse them, and then just some freedom fighters come out there and try to defend themselves, and who knows what's being exaggerated, and who knows what they actually did, who knows who's to blame for this or that, and therefore, so the point is people can have all sorts of very, very skewed views. The point is, if this person is not completely in the dark and ignorant and with a completely messed up version of events, if this person actually knows what happened and so on, that's pretty messed up to be supporting the attack.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Just Olu said, "Secret transfer payment, David's video to Jake the fake epic. More videos from UAP. Thank you.
Yeah, you see I responded to Jake.
Oh yeah, I did. I shared it earlier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Jake the
fake.
Jake the fake.
Can you imagine 5 debates we have on the table? He backs down from all of them and calls me a coward.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you gotta love these guys, man. Dawa is awesome.
The guy he's scared. He's finished. Jake,
you're finished already. Look at me. You know you're done.
Well, it's also interesting that people like Inspiring Philosophy who would have debated him are like, oh, okay, I'm not debating him until he fixes these problems and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably Jake's probably going, yay, because he'd have got crushed.
Daniel Jones said, "Atheists are so fevered about evolution, yet they think they never evolved to this morality." They think they never evolved to this morality.
Wait,
Jesus
atheists are so fevered about evolution, yet they think they never evolved to this morality. Jesus said, "Know who you are indebted to." How ironic. I don't know.
I feel like I understand, but I also feel like I don't understand what is exactly being said here. Daniel,
saying you're a loser.
Atheists are so fevered about evolution, yet they think they never evolved to this morality. Is there a mistake in that?
That's
statement?
open to, yeah. I'm not sure that's what's saying, because I could interpret that in a couple different ways. So
Yeah.
we'll have
Is
to
it-
say we can neither confirm nor deny this statement until we understand it more fully.
Is it meant to say they think they evolved? I don't understand it. Or is it supposed to say that humans never evolved into developing their sense of morality and that they learned it? I don't understand what's exactly being said, but I don't think that's an accurate representation of the matter in any case. But I would need further elaboration. But thank you. Elgato said you should ask Hijab, how is it possible for IDF to avoid breaking IHL when Hamas is actively breaking IHL to get IDF to do it? You should ask Hijab, how is it possible for IDF to avoid breaking international human... What? When
Yeah,
Hamas...
what's the L?
Wait a minute. I'm looking at... International humanitarian law.
Humanitarian law, okay.
Breaking international humanitarian law when Hamas is actively breaking international humanitarian law to get IDF to do it. Yeah, I mean, the whole question is just... It was very clear, right? Piers Morgan made that point. We get it. You are upset. How else do you think this should be done? Never answered. Nobody answers this. All people can do is like, yeah, people shouldn't die. We know people shouldn't die. We know people shouldn't die. We know people shouldn't be killed. We know this shouldn't be happening. But what is the solution? What is the alternative to this? Offer a solution. There simply is none to be offered.
There is. Everyone should just submit to Islam, and then all the different versions will kill each other over disagreements.
True.
Don't say it.
Somebody with a
Don't
username
say
that I
it.
don't
We
want
can
to
read it.
read
We can-
out
people can
said,
read it.
there's no point worrying about things you can't fix. I see this conflict and I think to myself, I cannot fix this problem. That's true, but there are lots of things that I seemingly cannot fix, but that still should be talked about. If nobody talked about
No,
it, then
Yeah, and everyone plays a role in this. I mean, you have people. You see the power of
love.
People spreading ideas, right? Like you have massive portions of populations who think you had these Palestinians living in their land in the country of Palestine for years, and then Jews came along, give us that land, and kicked them all out, and now they're all refugees and so on. And people will condemn Israel on that basis and defend terrorist attacks on that basis and so on. And so guess what? A lot of it comes down to having discussions and getting accurate information out there and responding to, imagine if we all just shut up, right? Imagine if we just kept quiet and so on, while, the hijab crew is all spreading nonsense online. No, you have to confront bad ideas head on. And that does play a role in the way things go down the line. So
that is very, very, very true. It's very true. And it's also very true. And also it's very true.
Not to mention true.
It's not to mention, yeah.
You forgot true.
It's also true. Just want to point this out here. I shared this yesterday night.
I remember I commented on this and someone took the bait and took me seriously.
I know.
And then everyone made fun of him for
he did this. But I mentioned this yesterday. So people keep bringing up stuff like this. And this is just so simple. So people post this here, this image of an old coin to say, look at this. The coin says Palestine. Where is Israel? Therefore, Israel never existed. It was always Palestine. And it's just, just with this, with a simple image and a simple idea proposed with this image, you can spread completely false ideas. If you deal with the actual facts, which are very, very simple and don't take too much time to research, you will see a few things here. The Arabic here says indeed Palestine. It says Palestine. It says here Palestine in English, and then here again Palestine in Hebrew. However, here in parentheses you have another Hebrew thing, and that is an abbreviation of the letters Aleph and Yud in Hebrew, and the abbreviation stands for Eretz Yisrael, which is the land of Israel. as it is also called in the Bible and in many other sources. So the coin that they bring to you and say, look at this one. It says Palestine, no Israel. So this means it was always called Israel. Actually, has a clear marking here for the land of Israel, as it was known in history forever. Another issue, also aside from all of that, is that this coin from 1927 is a coin for the British Mandate of Palestine. So it is not an Arab country named Palestine. It is the British Mandate of Palestine, which was only called British Mandate of Palestine because Palestine is the name of the region as it was known in Western languages from Latin, because the Romans called it Palestine, which comes after some Greek sources referring to the place as Palestine. So they only call it Palestine because that is the name of the region in their own language. And later, the Arabs who lived there at this time begin adopting the name of the very land that they live on, which is called Palestine. Slowly, these Arabs in the 20th century begin referring to themselves as Palestinians because they live in this land that is called Palestine.
So,
It has nothing to do
be
with
clear, be clear, just to repeat that last part, very, very important. It's not called Palestine because of the Palestinians who lived there.
Mhm.
They call themselves Palestinians now because that's what the territory was called, and then they wanted. Okay,
It's the other way. It's the other way around. Those people who lived there were simply known as Arabs in the beginning of the 20th century. Nobody called them Palestinians. They didn't self-identify as Palestinians. That was not a thing. The region was called Palestine.
We could identify as Palestinians.
And later, these people began to identify themselves as Palestinian Arabs because they are Arabs who live in the region that is known as Palestine. So, yeah, that's the fact of it. If you take these facts into consideration, this coin means nothing at all for the pro-Palestine idea. On the contrary, it refutes the whole idea that that the Palestinian Arabs are the actual indigenous people of this land, and that it was always Palestine. The further problem is that the modern state of Israel was formed in the 1940s, whereas the first Palestinian Arab state was formed much later in the 1980s under Israeli rule. So technically, Israel is older than the Arab Palestine. Those are the facts. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Clearly
Greg,
says Palestine.
Oh yeah, that was your comment. What was it?
Yeah.
You said, liar, the coin clearly says Palestine, keep crying.
I just imitated their responses to everything.
And some people took it seriously.
Yeah, that guy said, "Look, it's literally got Hebrew on it." He actually responded, and then people respond to him. They're like, "That's the joke."
I like this one. It's longer words, so it's better. Yeah. Anyway, Greg Perrin said
it's pronounced oive, not NEV.
Oh yeah, oive. Greg Perron said, the wife and I would like to thank you both for the work you're doing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, and greetings. Do you think the praiseworthy head covering? No.
It's praiseworthy head covering that you wear to avoid being molested. Get it right,
Yes,
Greg.
Yes. Do you think the praiseworthy head covering, aka Mohammed Hijab, knows that he, his prophet, and his God are all the worst of liars?
I think he left out a knows that we all know that he, his prophet, and his God are all the worst of liars.
Excuse me, it's actually best of deceivers. So yeah, they are the best of deceivers.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it is interesting. It's like which of the Dawa guys aren't compulsive liars? Certainly all of the popular ones, right? All of the popular ones are just absolutely compulsive liars. And so they know it. They just think it's fine. And we've brought this up before. You can see it with Ali Dawa, where he says, yeah, the scientific miracles argument is complete nonsense, but that's what Allah used.
How dare you call it nonsense?
That's what Allah used to bring me to Islam.
Of
And
course, that's what he did.
Allah uses the lies of Dawa guys to convert people. And Allah uses the lies of Dawa guys to keep people from leaving Islam. And so they believe that lying is just good. It's just part of Dawa.
We're proud of that.
Yeah. I always find it good to let him speak too. Said opinion on USS Liberty attack, Operation Plummet, Israel stealing nuclear material from US Nimic plant. What do you want me to say about
this? Is a Fuentes fan, just so you know.
Doesn't have to be Fuentes. It could just be a regular neo-Nazi or just something else. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
So USS Liberty attack. I don't know what you want me to say about that. Happened decades ago. Nothing to do with us. Happened over 50 years ago. What was it? Wasn't it?
You see, this is part of the Israeli plot to destroy the West.
USS Liberty incident happened in 1967. That was during the 6-Day War? I think it was.
It was about 1 million years ago.
Yeah, about 1 million years ago. True. Yeah, actually, thank you for correcting me on that, David. Nothing I have to say about it. History. I'm not a historian.
we said it's the Jews. Oh, you changed our mind, the Jews.
Random Walk said, "Can you get Dr. Whitemeat on your channel?" I'm working on it. I contacted him.
We should get someone to play a character, Dr. Whitemeat, and it refutes everyone who made fun of Zakir Naik for appealing to Dr. Whitemeat.
And when do you know about Dr. Whitemeat?
And Dr. Whitemeat, you confirm everything I'm saying. Dr. Whitemeat.
Dr. Whitemeat. Yes. Steve Toyman, super chat, thank you so much. And Anthony Lafleur said, "You see,
say it right. You see how many U's and E's there."
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope. No? You said it all. It only took you 3 hours and 35 minutes.
I need to find more stuff to talk about. I don't want to end this live stream yet. Yeah.
What really sucks is I'm sure we're going to have more stuff to talk about, and that it's not going to be good.
It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, David.
Yo, what? Hi.
Is that your new title? Swagasaurus Rex?
No, it just didn't give me the option to take it away from the last time. So sometimes it has a little thing where I can erase or change it, and sometimes it just has the name, and then it keeps whatever the last dumb thing I put in there was.
El said, "Don't end stream, please."
Okay.
I have to keep it open.
We'll just keep it up forever.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. We will be back. Hopefully not too soon, but probably tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow.
I think, when I think about the Dawa guys, I said all the popular ones are compulsive liars, but there's one that I could think of who's an honest man. That's Sajid. And therefore, whatever Sajid says, I think we need to go with, because he's the only honest Dawa guy.
I like Sajid. I think the guy has an interestingly okay personality.
We should all take his advice. We should all take his advice.
But I disagree. I think there's only one who is truly honest and reliable, and that is Sheikh Yeboudi.
We're proud of that.
All right. I don't have the button for it, man. Wait. As said, we were talking with Sajid Lipa.
Stay away from Islam.